It adds like a whole nother element to have to deal with.
I bet.
Contend
I
with.
did. Well, I say I did. It was long for me. I've only literally had it cut the other day.
I'm a little worried because you're blurry, and I'm just worried that the internet's gonna not play with me.
It should be all right. It
Oh
should come
God,
through.
it was so bad yesterday. Nothing worked. I've been trying to upload a podcast to YouTube for over 24 hours, and it had loaded like 40%.
Jeez, that is some shit internet.
I was
I thought
like,
mine was bad.
oh my God, it was next level. I tried tethering it through my phone. Like at one point yesterday, because I was trying to upload one podcast. I was trying to put content out for something else. I'm starting a business with this other woman who I ended up recording a podcast with her. So I was trying to like communicate back and forth with her. And I had people sending me and just not, I was trying to send stuff, trying to post stuff. Nothing would work at all. It took me about 2 hours to get that stupid like 4-minute video up onto Instagram. And you know, like if you let the phone off, it stops doing it.
Yeah.
Like it won't do it in the background. So I was just like, I was raging. I know it's a total first world problem that that the internet's not working.
Yeah, those third world country people, they're fine. They're just stuck being hungry.
I mean, I guess
hungry and dirty water.
I was gonna say, if all you have to worry about is food and water, then like it does simplify life.
Exactly. There's no worrying about your internet. No.
So true.
They would have no problems either because they're not getting trolled on internet. They're not worrying about, I don't know, what the government is deciding to do right now. They're fucking locking down Leicester.
I know. I think we should even save that because I want to ask you if you've ever been trolled on the internet.
Yeah, I have. I have indeed.
Really?
Yeah, when I it started before I started the podcast, I did one of those press up challenges.
Oh yeah.
The 22 press up challenge or whatever it was at the time.
Yeah.
And I'd post a video and it would explain why I'm doing it because of PTSD awareness, that sort of thing. And then a few months later, this video came out and it was basically me and another lad who was in the same regiment as me, but I didn't serve directly with him. But it was both of us, like, and they've cut it into different parts, and it was just it wasn't a nice video. It was them taking the piss, basically. And I was like, well, you guys are basically taking the piss out of someone trying to do something for PTSD. And then when I was diagnosed by my therapist that I had not a full-blown case of PTSD, but she believed that a lot of my problems are through things that happened in my life that I sort of bottled down. And then when my depression started to take hold as well, that's when I started the podcast. And as soon as I did that, out popped a few of the people that did the video who I actually did serve with on the same regiment and did the same tours as. But yeah, they were saying that I was making it up. It wasn't true. Nobody should follow me. They shouldn't listen to what I'm saying, anything like that. And it was like, oh, brilliant. Luckily for me, luckily for me, I've got quite a decent collection of friends that stuck by me. My brother was like, just ignore that, mate. He's obviously still listening to the podcast, so you're still getting the listens. So just keep doing what you're doing. And then obviously it's sort of taken off there. I've had some decent guests on, including yourself now. Welcome.
I don't know. I'm excited. Thank you. Well, thank you for having me, and thanks for doing the collab. I think it's a really cool little
I think
idea.
I
Go
think they're
ahead.
brilliant ideas because it helps each other's podcasts. Like there's that many out there now.
Yes.
Why not? You it's not a competition. It's not like it's not like my podcast is better than
No.
yours. That's how I see it anyway.
No,
Who
I
knows?
agree.
One day we'll be as big as the mighty Joe Rogan.
I just had this conversation yesterday. I was like, I'd love to be the female Joe Rogan. Why not?
Yeah.
Like I remember,
We
so
got,
it was really funny when I had the idea. When I had the idea about doing the podcast, I approached Mike Coates just to get some, just some tips and, what he thought I should know about starting my own podcast.
yeah.
And we had some like interesting conversations, and he was very like in my head, like I was already the female Joe Rogan. I was just gonna have like I was just gonna have like killer guests on where we sat there and drank. I personally wouldn't smoke weed, but it was just gonna be like really
Yeah.
chill, like low key, have some incredible, like deep, crazy conversations where I mean obviously would always have the background of wanting to like empower and help people, so probably wouldn't be as random as Joe Rogan because he tends to have a lot of like stand-up comedians on just because he's a
Yeah.
stand-up comedian. So it would maybe have a little bit more like depth and stuff to it, but like I just loved that idea of having like open, honest, like raw, unfiltered conversations with people feeling really relaxed and willing to talk about anything. And Mike was like, nope, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Really?
He's like, yeah. He was like, nope, it needs structure. You need to interview them. You need to know, you have to lead the whole conversation. Like, this is how I do it. This is how the best way to
Yeah.
do it. And he like really fascinates me. Like, watching him interview someone it's like an art form how he does it. He's
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
good with it, and he'll be like, "Oh, you'll watch me," and I'm, if I think they're talking too much, I'll give them a signal, like to get them back on track to move on to the next question. So
Yeah.
he has the whole conversation structured. Whereas, like, obviously, there's leeway for that person to go a little rogue and like open up about different things. Like he doesn't know where it's going to go, but he tends to have quite a fixed, rigid structure about how that conversation is going to go. Whereas I don't do that at all. And he's like, no, you need to do that. And so it put me
Yeah.
off. It like
I
put
bet
me
it
off
did.
doing
I
the
bet it did.
podcast. I was like,
So
shit.
my my brother was very similar in he likes. It's just quite strange, really, because obviously I'm former military. He's not. Where when I'm doing my podcast, I don't really like the structure. Where my brother likes it. Right, you should have it. You should have your questions if you've got questions or topics. Have them written down. I'm like, why? Just go with the flow, man. I'm like, every guest I've had on, I've had no, like, obviously I'll look into like their background just to make sure I don't slip up on anything. But I was like, no, I'm just going to chat to them like they're one of my mates. And it's like, he was like, well, if you're going to do it that way, I was like, well, I am going to do it that way. It's my podcast. Because in the early days, it wasn't as structured. Like I would literally be talking away because I'd be talking to myself. That's how I started the podcast. I'd be just basically word vomit, and then I'd be in one part, and then I'll be over there, and then I'll come back to that, and it's like, yeah, maybe I need a little bit of structure.
A little bit of structure,
Just,
which is, yeah, that's how I kind of took all the advice that Michael gave me and then had to figure out what part of it was, in alignment with who I truly am and how I best kind of function and how I can get the best out of people. So I find that for me is in a bit more of a free flowing, less structured manner. But I always, like you said, do the research on the person. I have a concept, of idea of a topic that I want to discuss with them or what it is I want them to be able to share with the people listening. And then the rest of it tends to be pretty free flowing. But I like to ask people what's alive for them in this moment, because if there's something that they're going through at that particular moment, or something that keeps cropping up for them that they keep having conversations about, or that's lighting them up and making them amped about, then that's going to be the best thing to talk about, right?
100%. It's like you could just take what is going on right now within the whole of the UK at the minute. Like, obviously, they're putting Leicester back into lockdown. I think there's a few other cities and what have you. But what really fucks me off is how stupid some people are. Like, it's mad how stupid people are. It's like, well, the government are putting us in lockdown. It's like, well, yeah, you went to fucking the beach with all those other idiots. Having a fucking good old time. You decided to go and have a protest in the middle of London with every fucker else. It's like, it's your fault. Here's me stuck in the house, and then going to work, going home, going to work, going home, and you guys are just thinking it's a fucking jolly holiday.
Oh, I mean, come on, Tomo, you've got your shed. You're
I
chill,
do.
like you're all good. Like I'd be hiding out in there too.
The sheddy-o, mate.
I know. Well, look, I get what you're saying. I have so many friends with like, Barry. I'm from America, obviously. I mean,
well, we just thought you were putting on an accent. We weren't.
I was gonna say.
I know you said you're the female Joe Rogan, but
spoiler alert. But like, what's going on over there is just next level, like crazy. I mean,
yeah.
I'm from California. So like if you can imagine, between my family, my friends that I have over there, that I have over here, and all over the world, I get some real differing opinions on this whole coronavirus lockdown situation. So yeah, there's some of my friends in America who are just like, they're taking away our civil liberties. We should be able to do whatever we want, and they just want to go out and work and do their own thing and let natural selection take its course. And then there's other people that are like, I'm just going to stay locked down and do the right, the right thing. And that's try and protect myself and other people. And then there's other people who I think are just naturally like rule followers.
Yeah.
Who just do what they're told because that's just kind of innately how they are.
Yeah, that's all their makeup, isn't it? I like your comment there on the natural selection. It's like a buddy of mine has always said, why don't we just take all the labels off bleach that say do not drink and just see what happens? just get rid of all those idiots that are obviously going to drink.
I mean, it's really scary, isn't it? It's like, I remember my dad was American, and he was a real funny dude. He was a motorcycle racer, so he was like a MotoGP and TT racer back in the 60s and 70s.
Oh, right. Cool.
Yeah, he was a bit nuts. But he also was really into like yoga and spirituality, and he was just this really strange mix of a man, who was just like batshit crazy because he would get on a bike at 200 miles an hour and like try and kill himself, or like, but then would sit down and do meditation or go into like silent meditation retreats.
It's like he needed that balance.
Oh yeah. Well, it's really funny. I think he gonna maybe sound a little woo-woo, but actually from how he described it, to be able to race a motorcycle at those speeds, you almost have to be in a meditative state anyway. Like you have to be functioning on like almost a different level. And he used to say that when you get up to those types of speeds, that what happens is that everything goes into slow motion, almost like when you get into a car accident and you can see everything happening like really, really slowly around you, and you have time to almost make split-second decisions. That was how he said it was like when he was racing. That's how it felt to him. He could see everything really slowly and clearly.
Yeah, it's like when the adrenaline kicks, it sort of hypens all your senses and emotions.
Yeah, exactly that. But then he also loved a good conspiracy theory. Yeah,
Everybody loves a conspiracy
loved a
theory.
good conspiracy theory. Like he was livid when my little sister got a tattoo, and he was livid. Um, and she was like, "Why are you so mad about it?" And he's like, "That's what they want you to get is tattoos. That's how they track you. This barcoding yourself. Like it's like you may as well have put a barcode on yourself. They'll always be able to know who you are now."
That's mental.
Oh, he was a funny guy.
Like they put a little
So
chip or something in the tattoo.
yeah, he was hilarious. I often wonder like what his take on this whole corona. He died in 2006, and I just often wonder like what his take would be on this whole coronavirus situation. Like, what side of the fence would he be sitting on? Would he just have
Yeah.
gone about his daily life? He'd have pulled an Aunt Middleton, my dad, I reckon. He'd have been the one that went out and was like, "I'm not afraid of a virus. I'm gonna go." Like, definitely, that would have been my
I'm
dad.
an expert in life.
Yeah, that's exactly. My dad would have said that. He would have been like, I have, in fact, I 100% know what he would have said. He would have said something very similar to like, not only am I an expert in life, but I have no intention of dying of coronavirus today. Therefore, I'm not going to get it.
Yeah.
And that was his attitude towards life in
I
general.
think that sort of mindset on things is actually a really powerful thing. The reason why I say that is my grandmother was diagnosed with bone and breast cancer, and they said she had three weeks to live. That was like 4 years ago, and I don't know if it's whether she's because she refused to take any of the radiotherapy treatment or anything like that. But I remember sitting there at her bedside, and I was like, I was quite scared. Obviously, it's my grandmother, and she just turned to me. She was like, "Sean, don't worry, I'm not ready to go yet." I was like, "Oh, fair play." It's like she knows when she found she's not quite ready yet. She probably wants to live to over 100, knowing her.
Yeah. And how
Stubborn.
long did she live? Just out of curiosity.
She's still going.
Yeah, there you go. Right there.
I found her yesterday.
That's amazing. So, okay, it's really funny that you should say that because the podcast that I was a guest on, we actually recorded it a few months ago, but it's just coming out today. Excuse my dog.
Oh,
Wait, I know this is
was
Neville.
to get on.
That was my dog Neville. Pretending that he could protect me if anything actually went wrong, because he definitely couldn't. He's all bark, no bite for sure. But he sounds scary, right?
Yeah.
It's really funny because that concept of making like a mental choice as to whether you're ill or not, just what you're okay with, what's going to happen to you, what you're going to allow and what you're not going to allow. My dad was very much of the mindset that he had no intention of ever getting sick. So he never got sick, ever. Like, I can't remember a time that he ever got sick. And that was just how he kind of lived his life. When I was 17, I had a seizure. I'd never had one before. And then by the time I was 18, they diagnosed me with an inoperable brain tumor. Okay. And they told me that they didn't know how long it had been there. I know they didn't know how long it had been there. They didn't know how long it was going to take for it to kill me. They didn't know if it was, benign or malignant. And because of where it was too dangerous to even
Yeah.
biopsy. So they were just going to leave it. And they would leave it until it got so bad that was going to kill me. So then they would consider like testing it to see if there was anything more they could do.
Right. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And they said, but just to be realistic, they did say they believed it to be a low grade, like slow growing tumor, and that they didn't expect me to see 30. So that was the kind of goalposts that they put down for me was, you maybe have till about 30, but we'll do what we can to keep you alive for as long as possible. And
Generous.
I remember sitting in the doctor's office, like in the consultant's office, him telling me this. And I remember like my mom just being so devastated, obviously, like as a parent of a 19-year-old daughter. God, I can't even imagine what it would have been like to be my mom sitting in that room that day. But like for me, I remember, I think I had like one little tear that like trickled down my face. I think I remember like filling up and like a little tear like rolling down my face. But then I just remember thinking, I don't feel sick though.
Yeah.
And I don't really plan on dying. So, I mean, whatever. So I was a bit like,
Whatever,
didn't take it that seriously. And I just, I was a bit like, I'm not sick. I'm not sick and I don't feel sick. And okay, there's some limitations on what I can and can't do because it gives seizure if I do those things, but I just won't do those things, or I'll just make sure I get enough sleep, or I won't go out and get pissed anymore. Or, I mean, I was 18 years old. So obviously going out with my friends was a big part of my life at that time, but it very quickly became not a part of my life. Well, over the span of a couple of years after that, I realized that when I went out drinking or I didn't get enough sleep, that I would have seizures after that because my body was just, it couldn't cope with that kind of stress of not sleeping and barraging it with alcohol. So I had to like make some lifestyle adjustments. But even throughout all that, like it wasn't until I got to about 20, I had my first brain surgery at 23 because my seizures were getting pretty bad. Within all of that, like super like quick version of the story, I ended up getting pregnant at 20 years old to my then partner who I'd been with for like nearly 3 years. They were devastated. My doctors were like, you can't go through with this. Like you have to terminate. Neither of you
with all the stress and that.
Well, they were like, neither of you are going to survive the pregnancy because your seizures are going to get worse. We're going to have to put you on more medication. Like, it's just too much stress on both of you. One or both of you isn't going to make it. So you may as well just terminate it. I was 20, and I think at the time I was just a bit like, that's not really an option. We're going to be all right.
Yeah.
And again, it's that, like, I think it is that kind of mindset where, like, I made a decision, and that's truly what I believed in my soul to be the right decision, and that's where I was going with it. Now, to be fair, 4 months pregnant, I nearly died. I was about 15 minutes away from them turning the machines off on me. So there was definitely risk involved, and it definitely got serious. But, she was born 5 weeks premature, and again, that had she was in NICU for a few weeks, but she's great. She's at university getting a 2-1 in film and screen studies and smashing life.
Smashing it.
Smashing it. So I made the choice for me that in my heart and in my head, I knew to be right. And then I stuck to it. I remember my dad my dad was one of these people who I like to call it just believing your own bullshit, right? Like if you're not fully invested and have your own back in what your thoughts and beliefs are, then like people can smell that. Like it's weakness, right? And I think the universe smells it. So like if you fully believe your own bullshit, like I'm not going to die from this brain tumor because I'm not sick.
Yeah.
And then I didn't die from it because I don't know why. That just wasn't what was on the cards for me. I mean, they ended up removing
on the cards, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I did end up really, really ill. By the time I had my second brain surgery, I was having seizures every single day. And I was in a really bad place. I remember My mom took me home to California to say goodbye to everybody.
Shit.
Um,
That must have been a difficult task.
yeah, I mean, it was bad
I
because
can't even imagine.
she didn't tell me that's what she was taking me for, but that
Yeah.
was what was inferred, you know. And I remember we went on a family trip to Disneyland while we were there because we lived like 20 minutes from Disneyland. And there was like all my family went, and I had to be wheeled around in a wheelchair. And
Did you go on the rides quicker though?
I did,
Every
yeah. Oh
cloud.
my God. I know. But can you imagine the hatred, like the looks I was getting? They're like, there's fucking nothing wrong with her. That's bullshit. Like, why? Because I just looked like normal. And then I get out of the wheelchair and I get on the ride and they're like, yeah, sure. I'm like,
faking it.
yeah. So I don't know. It was an interesting journey, but definitely for me, like people ask me very often, like, what was it like? How did you get through that? What was your mindset like?
Yeah.
And for me, I think one of the biggest things was deep down, even though I knew that I was having to make life adjustments around my own limitations with the illness, I still never truly believed I was sick. And I never believed I was going to die. And that was like, I believed my own hype.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. And I did the same with my
That's good.
daughter. And anytime I've had that mindset about something, like this is happening, I know it because I can feel it. It like feels different in my body.
Yeah.
I feel like a push and a forward movement. And I know that nothing's gonna alter that or change that. So I just think like believing your own bullshit works. That's the mindset.
100%. 100%. I'll tell you what, that actually like pretty much sums up your your actual podcast name then, Blonde and Strong. That just
Yes.
you should either call it that or believe your own bullshit. That would have been a
Well, it was. I actually like that.
welcome
Believe your
to
own
the
bullshit.
Believe Your Own Bullshit podcast.
I think Blonde and Strong rolls off the tongue better.
Yeah, it rolls off the tongue a lot. Yeah, the only thing that I've got that even compares to anything like saying goodbye to family like that, obviously, when you go on tour, you have to say goodbye. But obviously, to that, you have to sit and write out your will for a start.
Yeah.
I took it upon myself to write basically death letters. So if I died, they would be given to the missus or to my brother. I think when I went to Kandahar, Kate was pregnant with Jess, so I'm not sure how far gone she was. So I literally had to write a letter to my unborn child. So I was like,
that's heavy shit.
and then you sat there writing it, and you're like putting things in there, like when you walk down the aisle and things like that, and you're like, oh, Jesus. I don't think I've still got. I think they've been destroyed somewhere now. But yeah, I did that through. So I went on tour 3 times. So each time I would write something out. It was difficult to do, and I've got to say I never thought of it at the time, but it must affect myself personally. It must have affected me a little bit writing out fucking death letters. You know what I mean?
I mean, not even a little bit. First of all, I can't imagine having to sit down and write that kind of letter. I did have to write my own will when I was 22 years old. So before I had my first brain surgery, I had to write a will so that the parental responsibility of my daughter was taken care of and things like that. Just because at the time her dad was quite a violent, abusive person. And he actually got sent to prison like right before I had my brain surgery. So I'm like sat there 22 years old writing my will and trying to figure out who's going to take care of my daughter if I don't come out of this surgery, you know, like so I totally get that feeling of it's so surreal, you know, right? You're like but I can't imagine what that must be like every time you have to go away, where you're having to write those sorts of letters. I mean, that's a real exercise, emotional exercise there. And I've heard, I mean, maybe you can tell me like what it was like, but I've heard a few of my friends who were in the military say like just before they ended up going out on tour, they very much had to just shut off, switch off,
Yeah,
like shut down emotionally,
yeah.
even to make it possible to leave.
I always I used to say it to Kate, and she really hated me saying it. Like if there was any dramas at home, I would tell her, like, don't tell me unless it's like I need to know. If there's any of these little dramas, I don't need to know. She's like, why? I went, because a distracted soldier is a dead soldier. So as soon as I'm thinking of something else, I'm not thinking of the task that I'm doing. So on the build up to, especially my first two tours, where I was a bit more active than my third. My third tour, I was in the control center, so I was basically on a radio all day. So I was perfectly safe in theory. But the other two, I was out on the ground, out in the desert, cutting about, and I was literally a different person in the weeks building up, because I had to sort of shut down and get my mind onto the task. And in doing so, I sort of changed my personality a little bit. I wasn't the nicest person to be around. I was also I would have been the same sort of age, 22 when I went to Iraq anyway. So 22 years old, I'm going out drinking, but then it's like, I might not be home to do this again in a few weeks' time. It's like trying to get your head around different things. And when you're 22 and you're dumb enough to sign a contract, as they quote the movie Jarhead, it's terrifying. Like 22 years old, and you're out in Iraq and you can hear their bombs going off. You're like, what have I done here?
Yeah, what the hell have I signed up to here?
Yeah, it was the most enjoyable 5 years of my life, hands down. But when you first
Really?
get out there, it's like, what the fuck?
I can imagine the adjustment period and then the desensitization period and then the re-entry period. Like each
Well,
different phase must just be.
yeah. So on the return, so as soon as you finished the tour, you're supposed to go to decompression, which is basically a day.
A day?
They send you to Cyprus for a day.
Yeah, I know.
To
I know.
decompress.
I know. I know.
And it's
My
basically
a friend of mine was just out in Iraq.
tokens.
Well, my friend was just out in Iraq.
Yeah.
When all of those bombings happened recently, back in January, February time.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Yeah, we're finally." I mean, obviously, I don't even know how much we can get into all of that, but I know. I don't want to start slagging America off. I can't be bothered today, but I know they'd after they'd killed the Iranian general, it all kicked off, didn't it? And so they were sort of staying with the Americans out there, and I think it got a little heated. And obviously there was loss of life and things like that, which is never great. But again, so I know that when they were getting, and then obviously coronavirus happened like all at the same time, and that was getting like locked down. So I know when they were bringing all the troops home, they went to Cyprus for a couple of days on their way through.
Yeah, it's literally like a couple of days. And
yeah, a couple of days.
They expect you to then get home, and then they go, right, see you in a couple of weeks, and then they send you off to be a civvy for a couple of weeks. And it's like, brilliant. How am I supposed to like be normal around family and that, when I've just literally, like, I found myself, and a lot of people probably go, Tomo, stop taking the piss here. But literally, when I would like park up to go to the supermarket or something, I'd get out and check around the car to make sure there's no bombs or anything. It's like, shit, what am I doing here? Just shut the door. It takes you a little bit of time to like adjust back to being normal, if normal's a proper word. But
I can't. I really can't even imagine. I genuinely can't even imagine what that would be like. Don't know that anyone who's never been in that situation could ever fully appreciate or understand what that's like, because I can't really liken it to anything as such. I mean, the only times I've ever, I mean, I appreciate that things like PTSD aren't just saved and allocated to people who've
No, no,
served
100%.
and served and experienced war. Um, I've had I got attacked in London Euston Station about 5 years ago, and when I think back about in my life all the crazy things that have happened to me, all the things that would be, I remember I
You're
saw some.
literally a book.
Okay, somebody sent me a meme the other day. Okay,
Yeah.
and I was laughing so hard. It said something like, "I'm pretty sure when you go to see a therapist, they're not supposed to look at you and say wow at the end when you finish telling your story." And I was like,
No, they're not.
that's actually happened to me a few times, where they just like look at me and they go, uh okay, wow. Okay. Well, I feel uncomfortable, so I can only and I think the problem is sometimes when I tell my story, like I'm laughing and I look
Yeah,
pretty like so now I used to worry that I had a bit of dissociation, like where I was just cutting the emotion off from, but I actually think I've just done so much work on myself and done so much
yeah,
work on my healing and trauma and stuff that I don't have a huge emotional attachment to those things anymore, because I don't identify with the person that was
yeah,
traumatized, like I don't live in that kind of a victim kind of mentality.
yeah,
So I try and stay self-aware, and if it does bring something up for me, I allow it to, and then I work through it, and that's okay. But um, one of the things that actually I found caused the most um, sort of post-traumatic stress response was getting attacked in London Euston Station. I think for me, it's the closest I've come to the, like, bearing in mind I've had a number of near-death experiences, and this one wasn't really like that, but I felt like the potential for it was huge. I got approached by a guy underground, when you get dropped off by like a taxi
yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever. And I've been dropped off in this really like remote place. There was nobody else there. It wasn't the normal taxi drop. And I'm still convinced to this day that that Uber driver had something to do with it, because he was super creepy too. Um, and then I got out of the cab and I had tons of stuff with me. I had like 2 bags, and I had my Apple Mac that I'm actually on right now in a big cardboard box, like under my arm, because I was going from work from London back up north. And this weird guy like creeped from around a pillar and tried like starting to strike up a conversation. And he was like, "Oh, hi, like how are you?" And I was like, "Oh, hi, yeah, sorry, I can't talk. I'm like late for my train." So I go like scurrying off, and he's like, "Oh, you're from America. America, come back here and talk to me." And I was like, I can't. I'm like late for my train." So I start, but anyway, he just starts full pelt like running after me. And I thought, like, what the fuck? I used to have dreams, like, as a kid, that I was being chased. When you have those dreams where you're being,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
chased because someone's
yeah.
trying to kill you. That's what it was like. I've never run so fast. I had no clue where I was going because I didn't know where I was. And he, like, reached out to grab me. I was running up the stairs, and he reached out to grab me, and he missed. He like, misfooted on the stairs, and he face planted on the stairs, and he was laughing. It was so creepy.
That is
And
some creepy shit.
super creepy. So when I ran out I ended up running right into the middle of the precinct in London Euston Station. And it was like 6:30. So it was like rush hour. There were
Yeah,
thousands of people. And I'm like, whew, like I made it. I'm safe. Right. So I'm like looking at the board, trying to find my train, which is like literally leaving in 3 minutes. And the next thing I know, he grabs me from behind in the middle, like in front of thousands of people, grabs me
fucking
from
hell.
behind and starts like dragging me backwards. I was like, it just like instant reflex, and like spun around and like whacked him, like to get him off me. And I was like, don't. fucking touch me, like, get your fucking hands off me.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, you ever fucking touch me again, and I swear to God, I'll kill you. Like, I just absolutely lost it. That was just my, like, instant.
Yeah.
I went into full, like, fight mode. So I was ready
Fight
to
instead
drop
of
him.
flight. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I went full fight. I was ready to drop him. And, but at the same time, I'm like, my brain was like, but I'm in the middle of like thousands of people. Like, how is this? Like it was
Yeah.
so out of place that I could
Yeah.
hardly function. And my adrenaline was obviously going nuts. So I grabbed, there was like two men stood. Please help me. This man's just chased me from downstairs. I don't know who he is. Like, he's trying to attack me. Like, I don't, and they just turned their backs on me.
That's fucking London for you.
Fucking London, man.
Fucking
Honestly.
London. I hate London.
Londoners, take heed. That's not okay. It's
Yeah.
unacceptable behavior to not help a woman being attacked. To be fair, if you didn't know, like, okay, this was the weirdest bit. He was wearing like jeans and like a button-down shirt, like a colored shirt. Like, he looked very respectable. I'd say he was about late 20s, early 30s, white, 6'1", 6'2", something like. Just looked very quote unquote like normal. Dude was crazy. And then I managed to get away from him again and to find like the train that I was getting on. And as I was trying to run off, he grabbed me again. So he's following me.
Jesus
grabbed
Christ.
me by my hair and he pulled me. And then he gets me and then he puts the weirdest bit. He puts his finger in my face and he goes, "Don't you ever speak to me like that again, or else." And I was like, "I don't even know you, you psycho. I'm never gonna speak to you again." Like, what the?
It's like he had it in his head that you were together or something.
That's exactly. It was like, I was like, I'm not your girlfriend. Like, I don't know you. This is it. And I knew in that moment he was super unhinged and the knife was coming out in a second. Like, he was going to kill me.
Yeah.
And I couldn't go out like I'd say for about a year after that.
Yeah.
I couldn't get on a train. I struggled. Like, I still, even to this day, sometimes I'm not that comfortable having earphones in when I'm out, like in London or in the city, because I want to hear if someone's coming up behind me. And that's
understandable in a way.
For me, that's been like probably the thing that stuck with me the longest, because definitely I've never had an issue with anything like that where it like really stuck with me. But for a good year after, I didn't even want to be in public. I wouldn't even go into like a bar or a restaurant. Like, I just didn't like being out. I found it really triggering. So
triggered.
I know, totally. But I mean, that's nothing. That wasn't like, it's weird. I think the weirdest thing about it, I still was physically okay. Like, nothing actually happened. It was like the potential. It was more the potential. That's the weirdest thing. Actual legitimate stuff happened to me.
Yeah, more could have happened. It would have been a terrifying situation anyway, because from the sound of it, didn't sound like he was a small bloke either. Like he said, 6'1". So, Jesus,
I mean,
there's some fucking weirdos in this world. It's fucking weirdos, man.
So weird. I know. And the thing is, what I did find with that, and I mean, I don't know about you, but what I found was it actually changed my personality. I'm probably sure you can tell, I'm like a real smiley, like chatty, open, like almost overly friendly person. So like, I'll talk to anyone. I just love like chatting to people and connecting with people, and I'm pretty bubbly and positive and upbeat. And what happened was I completely withdrew and went into my shell. I wouldn't make eye contact with anyone. I wouldn't talk to anyone I didn't know. I became very, very quiet. God, can you believe that?
I don't believe you were quiet ever. Yeah, a lot of people don't really know this about me. I was very shy and quiet as a kid. Um,
Really?
I was bullied quite a bit as a kid. I've always been short, so I'm only 5'6" now, so I've always been short. Yeah, all right, I'm a midget. I get it.
I
I've
didn't
always
say
been
anything.
short.
You're not.
I was
I didn't
as a
say
kid.
anything.
I was very skinny. I my ears, because my head was a bit smaller. My ears look bigger than they already are.
Aw.
I had goofy teeth. I had before I had my braces. I had a small jaw, so I had a rather large overbite. Things like that. I looked a bit like a mouse. And
It's
I was a bit
not
of an
cute.
easy. I was a bit of an easy target, should we say? So I was always very shy. Lacked a lot of confidence, and my dad would always, "You need to be more confident." My dad served 22 years in the military and then 20 odd years in the prison service.
Oh wow.
He's a very dominating figure. If he's in the pub, you know he's in the pub. He's that sort of person. He's
My
got a
dad was
very
like that.
deep voice, talks a bit like this.
My dad was
Shut up,
exactly
boy.
like that. The
Um,
presence.
yeah.
It's the presence.
Yeah, something about that presence. And he was always saying to me, "You need to have more confidence. You need to stand up for yourself more," and things like that. And it wasn't until I started playing sports really that I discovered that I was actually pretty good at things. And then I then grew this confidence. And then I was always I'd always cover up my lack of confidence, should I say, by being very loud at times and try and be the joker and things like that. And I say to the missus side of the family and the missus, I'm like, well, I'm actually quite shy. I'm quite reserved, really. I'm very shy. I don't like confrontation. And they're like, "What, you?" Yeah, I don't like. If I have to go and tell someone to go, I work in security. If I have to tell a bloke to move on, I'm like, oh, I can't really be bothered. Can he not just stay there? But it's like something that I've and all the people that I served with, they're like, "Tomo, that doesn't sound like you. We've seen you in too many fights for us to know that you don't have." It's like, no, honestly, I don't like fighting. It's like, well, don't you? It's like, oh, leave me alone, leave me alone. But yeah, it's mad how you have to change yourself to sort of not so much fit in. Oh yeah, fit in. Like I try and I. It's funny because it's like gone a complete circle. I say it to my eldest Jess all the time that she needs to be a bit more confident and not so because she's so sensitive. I sent her a birthday message yesterday and she cried with happy tears.
Oh,
She's
that's so
she's the
sweet.
most she's the basically the post that I put on my Instagram and my Facebook. I basically sent that to her with a couple of pictures, and she like sent me a message saying I'm crying with happy tears. It's like, oh, you big softy.
That's
But
so
yeah, she's
sweet.
very sensitive, and it's like it's good that you're sensitive, but sometimes you got to be a little bit stronger with certain things. And she's like, yeah, I know, Daddy.
It's a
Bless
it's
her.
tough, isn't it? It's really difficult because I feel like um I don't know, it's so hard. Like you don't want to like beat something out of someone when
Yeah,
that's like
yeah,
inherently who they are. And actually, I bet it's her
yeah.
sensitivity. I bet it's her sensitivity that makes her so endearing, so loving,
Oh yeah,
so caring. But it's like, how can you then instill that like confidence and strength in her
yeah,
where she isn't going to then also be taken advantage of, right?
yeah.
And
Exactly.
it's such a worry. Like, I first of all, I can't imagine you being a shy child, but then it just goes to show like
Yeah,
how much we can learn and
I
grow.
I 100% believe that joining the military is what made me a bit more confident. Like I was confident at secondary school and at college, but that was because I was good at rugby. I was good at basketball, even though I'm 5'6". I was good at basketball. Um, um,
Listen, height means
but
nothing. Nothing.
um, But yeah, I had that confidence, but when it came to things like schoolwork, I was always a bit nervous by that sort of things, and but if I didn't understand something, I wouldn't go, oh, I don't understand that. I would just sit there and try and struggle through it. And
Yeah. But I was like that. Like, I'm wondering how much of you was a shy person or how much of you was just slightly insecure, but actually you're quite an outgoing person. Like, I often wonder, like,
possibly,
where that line is, because if you're so naturally outgoing, I'm wondering if it's that bit that you've had to work on, or if it's maybe just your own like security and confidence that you've worked on, and then that's allowed like the
yeah,
actual
because
truer part of
that probably
yourself
makes
to
more
come
sense.
out. I
Yeah,
don't know. I mean,
quite
I'm only
possibly.
asking the question. I don't. I
No,
know that.
no, no, that sounds pretty spot on. To be fair, I never thought of it that way. Um, yeah, there you go. Fucking every day's a school day, innit?
Every day. I mean, I only know like I grew up in a household with my dad who sounds very similar to your dad as far as having that real like presence. I knew my dad
Yeah,
was in the room before he spoke.
yeah,
You could feel him. And he lived very much by the adage that children should be seen and not heard. And I
yeah.
don't know why he had 4 kids because like I still don't know why. And he should not have been allowed children. It's just my take on it. Um, it was funny because I put a post out on was it Father's Day? I think so. I put a post out on Father's Day because there was this meme and it was a little kid. It was a cartoon, like a stick figure cartoon drawing of a little kid ringing up, um, like saying, "Why you forgot to pick me up from school?" And like the dad answers the phone and he's like, "Who's this?" I was literally crying because that happens so many times. It's not even funny. Like if it was my dad supposed to pick us up from school at 3 o'clock, it'd be like 6 p.m. and me and my little sister would still be stood there like, doo, 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 like wonder if anyone's gonna come and get us today, or do we just let the like pedophile that keeps walking past staring at us take us home because we have nowhere else to go? Like honestly, my dad was like, he's just shit dad, but such a amazing, like incredible human being, like just the
Yeah,
most. So I always feel like really blessed to have known him and like to have been able to grow up around him because he taught me so many things, probably unknowingly. He taught me loads of things, not even on purpose, but
yeah,
um he was also just not a great dad, so but I remember growing up in a house where it was much safer to not make noise or talk or be loud or opinionated. It was much better to just blend into the background and be quiet. So for my little sister, that was fine because she was very introverted and she used to just
yeah,
keep herself to herself, whereas I wasn't like that. I was probably more like my dad and super outspoken and opinionated and wanted,
yeah,
um, but as a child, I learned how to like contain it and be quiet and just blend into the background. But then when I would go into school, I was all like mouth and would go, but and I was super outgoing. But very similarly to you, there were times where I was very insecure and lacked confidence. Like very much, if I was academically bright, but if I didn't know the answer, I just wouldn't ask. I didn't want to know. Like I would just hide. I didn't want to make it look like I didn't know.
yeah,
It was weird. I hated the idea that I didn't know something. Whereas
yeah,
now I live my life feeling like I know nothing and embracing that and just wanting
yeah,
to learn something new every day. Whereas my daughter, she struggles terribly academically. It does not come easy to her. And the feedback I used to get back at Paris Evening was like, she puts her hand up to answer every single question and knows the answer to about 10% of them. Like, but she doesn't care. She just wants to get involved
yeah,
and she
yeah,
just wants to learn. So if she doesn't understand something, she makes it her like mission in life to learn it and
yeah,
understand it. So like when she did her A levels, she picked drama, film studies, and she had to take criminology because it was like the only other thing. And I don't know how they do all the A levels. It's a bit different now. Um,
Yeah.
and within the first term, she was like failing criminology, but the two things that she loved, which were drama and film studies, she was doing really well in. Because she was failing at criminology, she plowed all of her energy and attention in that skill and knowledge because she hates not knowing.
Yeah, yeah.
By the time she finished her A levels, the one that she did the best on was criminology. And so I love that, that some people, I would say the majority of the people, if they don't know something, they tend to hide away from it.
Yeah, yeah.
And then it's those chosen few, like those special few who are like, oh, I don't know it. I want to know more. Teach me more. Like, and they go in with that
Yeah.
almost child mentality
Yeah,
of like,
my two are very different when it comes to learning. Like my eldest, her English and science and things like that, she's shit hot at. Her English, like she was reading Harry Potter books when she was like 5, I think. She's obsessed with reading. She's obsessed with writing. She loves making stories up and things like that. Maths, she hates maths. Hates it. She doesn't get it. She doesn't like it. Refuses to do it. However, we spoke to a teacher and they were like, I don't understand why it's just like she's got a mental block in her head. Because her teacher was like, don't understand why she's like that because she can do it all. She does it all perfectly fine. She gets most of the answers right, but she's got it in her head that she's shit at it. So she's like, I don't want to do it. She's very much like me in that way. If I'm no good at, like, for example, when I used to do sports, I couldn't do any sport with a racket, tennis, badminton, anything like that. I was like, nah, hockey. It's like, nah, don't like it, not doing it. Give me a football, basketball, rugby ball, any sort of team sport. Make me sprint somewhere, I'm fine. But yeah, if I'll stay away from, I ain't doing that shit. But my youngest, she's an all rounder at everything. She's brilliant at English. She's brilliant at math. Brilliant at science. If she doesn't know something, she'll go and figure out how to do it and how to learn it. It's like she's a little. She's a pain in the ass. Don't get me wrong. She's a tiny. Her personality is very similar to mine, where she's very dry, very sarcastic. But she's also got the female side, so she's very sassy. Like she flicks her hair and pulls poses.
sounds
But
like you've got your hands full.
and yeah, unfortunately, Sophia's got my temperament as well, where she can fly off the handle pretty quick. And I can see her and her sister having some arguments when they get a bit older. They have arguments now, but it's like me and my missus were like, we were sat there the other day, we were like, who do you think would win in a fight? And she went, my missus like, Jess would win. She's the eldest. I went, I think you'd be surprised. I think Sophia would knock her out.
You know what? She might, but I do genuinely believe that there is a mental thing about being the older sibling. Because how many times have you seen an older sibling who, the younger one would absolutely have them in a fight if they didn't know each other? But there's
I'm telling you now, right?
psychological.
I agree there because he's listening. He's listening. I know my brother's listening. He's had me a good few times in a number of fights where I think if I didn't have that little mental block, then it might have gone a different way. I've still got scar tissue in my lip from where he's hit me before. That it's very true in the sports sense as well. I was hands down, and he knows this. I was hands down a better basketball player. I was the school captain. I was county level and above playing. Got asked to play National League, even though once again only 5'6". But every time we would play 1-on-1 in the out the front of our house, he'd beat me every time, and I'm like, I don't understand how I'm losing to you. You're not as good as me.
All psychological.
And the same with me, with my old man and his brother. They were playing cricket, I believe. My dad bowled him out, even though his younger brother was a better player. He didn't like the fact my dad beat him, so he picked up a cricket stump and threw it at him, split his lip open. Yeah.
I have to say, I was
The
lucky.
Thompsons are very competitive.
I mean, competition's good. It's all right. It's good.
I believe that. I love a bit of
No, definitely. I think like there is definitely a psychological thing with the older sibling I mean, I was in a weird position where my older brother and sister are 10 and 11 years older than me. So I was never going to beat them at anything. And my younger sister was 3 years younger, and she's just not physically as adept as me. So she was never going to beat me anyway at anything. Um, so it was never a fair fight. The only thing is she's extremely intelligent, and she likes to lord over me the fact that she can watch University Challenge and like do really well on it, and I'm not so good.
You just go, hey, nobody watches University Challenge.
Yeah,
So.
I'm like, why are you watching this shit? This is so dumb. I'm like, why do I want to watch a quiz show that I can answer like one question on per show?
So that's something that's come out of this lockdown is the amount of quizzes that I've done.
Oh yeah, of course.
Too many quizzes, if anything.
I've
But
tried to
it's
opt
quite
out.
funny, like because we'd be doing them, and a lot of the family believe that me and my missus aren't as intellectually on the same level as other people in the family, and we were beating them at these quizzes, and they were like, "Well, you're definitely fucking cheating. Send me your Google history." It's like, why would I be googling?
Listen, that's your like little undercover superpower because let people totally underestimate you. My s-
Oh,
my sister does the
100%.
same. My
Like,
little sister does the same because she's very, very intellectual. She is very
yeah,
intelligent, but I think in her head she likes to think that I'm just dumb. And I
yeah,
think she forgets that, although I chose a different path and have been known to be a little like crazy at times or like spontaneous, shall we say, that I still was like a straight A student throughout my entire like
yeah,
childhood and have studied countless things since then. So,
yeah.
but you know what? Let them
Let them
underestimate
think
you,
that.
and then you can beat them
I've
in a
done it before with Kate, the missus, because she comes out with some absolute gems, and you're like, oh, you're actually an idiot. For example, she she asked me once if ducks could fly was a good one. She was like, "Can ducks fly?" And I just looked at her with my frowny face that I do all the time when she says something stupid. My eye lower. I'm like, "What?" Um, she's come out with some absolute fucking gems, but the ducks can fly one is the best. Like she didn't understand that ducks could fly. But the amount of time she's got questions right in these quizzes, and I've gone over the top of her to say, no, that's not fucking right. It's not Asia. It's definitely like the Americas or something like that. She's like, no, it's Asia, I think. It's like, no, not listening to you. You don't know shit.
and then you
And
got
then
it
the
wrong.
answer will come out, and she's like, told you. It's like, yeah, I might listen to you a bit more now.
Listen, it's not
Bit,
all
bit, bit.
about the book smarts. You
Yeah,
know, my sister has all the book smarts, but she's got the common sense of like a doorknob. I can't
yeah, yeah,
like, so I, who are you going to trust in a survival situation? Who are you going to
exactly.
trust in a zombie apocalypse? Like, I don't want to be with the person I would use as a phone a friend on Who Wants a Millionaire. I want the person who I know is going to be able to like fight zombies with me and build a shelter.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, well, this actually comes back to another little story. Like we at my grandmother's 80th birthday, which would have been 10 years ago now.
Oh, wow.
It was the first time that Kate met my entire Thompson side of the family, and we got very drunk, very very drunk. And there was we were playing a word association game or something like that, and my cousin Matt is probably the cleverest person I know. Went to Oxford University, got firsts in all his stuff and things like that. And then you've got my other cousin who thinks she's smart and she's a uber leftist where any sort of thing like that she'll follow on refugees and all that sort of stuff. We've had many disagreements, shall we say. But
I don't even.
they've all piped up in this word association. It's only supposed to be a bit of fun, a bit of a drinking game. And he
Yeah.
pipes up and starts saying stuff to Kate like, "Oh, you're just a hairdresser," sort of thing. And it got my back up a little bit. I'm like, hang on
Yeah.
a minute. Just because you're a bit book smart, don't start having a pop at her. And then my brother piped up and he was like, "Can you can you cut a graduated bob, Matt?" And he was like, "What?" And you went, "Can you cut hair so it looks stylish and things like that?" Because Kate's done that for years now, and she's actually one of the top hairdressers in her area. He was like, and then he was like, "Oh yeah, but short," like trying to have a pop at me. Then Darren went, "Could you actively engage enemy targets at 400 meters?" Well, shut up, then. It's like
Yeah. Like we
everybody is good
all.
at something. And
Yeah, we
we
all
were,
have our
and me and my
special
brother were
gift.
like, we just get pissed and stop fucking causing arguments over this stupid stuff.
No,
And then
I
we beat
know.
them all at volleyball. So
So you get a little bit of a sense of like it's really hard. I think families are just difficult like that, aren't
yeah,
they? I think there's a lot of my family. I have a very big family on both sides, on my mom's side and my dad's side. And my mom's
yeah,
side of the family are like Irish Catholic, and in that kind of a background, it's like imperative that you become a professional person, like
yeah,
doctor,
yeah, yeah.
lawyer, dentist, accountant. Like if you don't do something like that, then you're just really a disappointment, and you've let the family down, and
Let the side down, mate.
definitely becomes like a second class citizen in the family. Then imagine the shame that you get painted with, like if you're like single parent, like if you're
Oh
not
yeah.
married or you got divorced, you have a child out of wedlock. I mean, I am literally so low on the pecking order in my mom's family. It's not even funny. Like, so not only did I not go to university straight out of school because I hated school and had no interest in going, I didn't go until I was 30. But so, like, not only did I not go straight into university and do a degree, but then I had a child and I wasn't married. So, like, even now,
Shame on you.
I'm 40, and like my family, they're just a bunch of overachievers, and like I'm all for it. Like you just go out and smash the world. I'm totally for it. And I love my family. All of them are super driven and have carved out incredible lives for themselves. So like I know where I get it from, right? It's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
like I know that that's where I kind of get that from. However, um like even just going on like family, we have once a year a big family trip, which usually ends up at like center parks or whatever. And there's like
Nice.
30,
Yeah.
30 plus of us, and all the kids and cousins and whatever. So there's just tons of us. But then like it'll be time for us to have the family barbecue. And because I don't have a husband to come and barbecue my food for me, I don't eat. Unless I decide to barbecue for myself. It's
Yeah.
a fucking joke. Like this is the kind of like stigma. Like this is so old school. Like people are talking about the stigma around racial equality and LGBT, what I don't even know all the acronyms for. And
LGBTQI.
then yeah, uh, A B C D E F G, and then like I still live in a family who, because I'm not married and I have a child, they won't cook for me because I don't deserve to eat.
You don't deserve it.
She doesn't deserve it. She can go and eat with the dogs.
They probably eat better.
uh, honestly, this is like it still baffles my mind. So like I actually had to make a decision a couple of years ago to like stop attending those family functions because I'm not willing to be treated like a second class citizen because I
Yeah.
chose a different life to what they
Yeah, you
chose.
shouldn't. Especially in these times, it's like, come on.
I know.
I,
I
I
don't.
know we're not counting 2020. Um,
I
this
love.
year doesn't exist.
Do you know what? I'm not. No, like for me, 2020. I say like bring it on. I know it's been a really difficult year for a lot of people, and the world has definitely gone into some like, if you believe in all that kind of like Mercury and retrograde kind of, I feel like the universe, like the whole planet has gone into some weird black hole of like karmic disaster. But I think like anything, like I had this conversation with someone the other day of that whole concept of like order and chaos, and like you can't have one
Yeah.
without the other. And I feel like we're just in that turbulent time of chaos, of which order will ensue and unfold, but our order will be something very different to what it's been maybe previously. And maybe
Yeah.
that's what needs to happen. But for me, 2020 has been like a year of awakening and change. And it's been scary and exciting. Like,
I
I
don't.
have,
Yeah.
it's
I
been
as much as
mental.
I joke, I agree there. When I always joke to say, well, I don't believe in 2020 because as a Man United fan, Liverpool won the league. So
How have we got this far into the podcast and only just realized we're both United fans?
have you not noticed my shirt behind me?
Well, it was the first thing I noticed, and I was about to say, Tomo, what is that shirt behind you? And then we've just been so waylaid and
We
sidetracked.
have. We've been going all over the shop. But yeah, as a United fan, Liverpool won the league. I'm not happy.
I turned my notifications off on my phone for like the week, and
Yeah.
I did. I have a lot of friends who are Liverpool fans who I
Yeah. Same.
basically just muted. I didn't want to like block them. I don't want to have to go
I
that
don't think I
extreme.
spoke to my father-in-law yet.
My mom's a Liverpool fan.
Yeah.
Like this is where we're at. But you're right. It's like this weird seventh circle of hell where Liverpool wins the league and people are dying of a pandemic crazy
Yeah.
virus.
Exactly.
Like
It was the way the world was like, right, we're going to wipe everybody out. So Liverpool, yeah.
you know
I
what
always
though?
say it.
I just sent so my friends who are Liverpool fans were sending me like, memes and
Yeah,
videos
yeah,
and all this kind of stuff. And one of my friends sent a video of like everybody partying outside Anfield, and I was like, oh, good, there'll be a few less Liverpool fans to worry about next year then.
yeah.
I mean, really, why? I mean, I get it, but at the same time, like if United had won the league, I wouldn't go to Old Trafford and have a party outside
No,
right
no,
now at this moment in time.
not at this moment. I think they they should have just waited. Not as in the league, as in the Liverpool fans that you've won the league. We all know you've won the league. You don't need to go out and be idiots about it. But
It's not
that's
like
the
they're going to
mindset.
go like it's not like they're going to do an open top bus tour around Liverpool anytime soon. I can
Yeah,
understand the passion that it is. People are so passionate about it, and they get
yeah,
and that's the joy of football. That's what makes it so incredible. And I'm all for people like celebrating that. But at the same time, there were thousands and thousands of people stood outside Anfield, like
yeah.
police power that it took to kind of manage that. So many people so close together. Like, why is that okay? But you can't go and train in a gym with
Yeah.
like restrictions.
That's a strange one as well. I did. I've seen quite a few things online. Just another little segue there when you said about the gym. Like you've got, it's as though they don't realise the power of fitness in terms of illness, mental health, and things like
Immunity.
that. Yeah, it's
Okay.
it's
I
okay. You can open up the bars and get everyone pissed off their face,
yeah.
but you can't go to the gym and make yourself better.
So I used to be a personal trainer. I worked in the fitness industry for years, and so obviously I have my own views on this. And so I won't get too much into like the political side of it, but you're
Yeah,
right in what you're saying as far as being able to train and work out is good for your physical health, your mental health. It does boost immunity if you're doing it properly. Obviously, there's things to take into consideration, like gyms in and of themselves are absolute cesspits of germs.
oh,
Like
I know.
It's disgusting. There would have to be some, and I train in like an old school bodybuilding gym where I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure like I am immune to like Ebola,
you're immune to
coronavirus, like
everything.
I'm immune to everything because like if you've used one of those corona ropes for face pulls or whatever, like you're not going to get anything. You're fine. So
Correct.
I think, I think like there's a lot, there would be a lot of, there would have to be a lot of like standard operating procedures that went into like cleaning and
Yeah.
monitoring people as they come in and out. You wouldn't be able to just open the doors and let people flood in because
No,
what you would
no, you'd
have,
have to book
yeah,
slots. I think
and
it'd have to be
you'd
slots.
have a new year new me situation because you'd have literally people who've been locked in their houses just desperate to go and do something. Like the gyms would be totally overrun, so that would have to be managed really closely. But what people don't understand and what they don't realize is that the fitness industry, personal trainers, gyms are the least regulated
Yeah.
form of healthcare providers on the planet, right? You can literally do a 6 week
Oh
online
yeah,
course,
we've discussed this many times.
be
Uh,
let loose on the
yeah,
general population to ruin their lives with
me,
no
me and
one.
me and Little Brown have mentioned this a number of times, saying I think the one quote from I say Little Brown, that's my brother Darren, um, because he's small and very very tanned, so he's Little Brown. Um, he says he's 5'7", he's not, he's 5'6". Just saying.
I love it.
Um, what was I saying? Yeah, we've always gone by the quote that the fitness industry is actually fucked. Um,
Oh, yes.
if you look online, I think I discussed it last week with Rob as well.
Mhm.
You go online and the amount of fitness models, I'll say, I usually go
Yeah,
into the fitness chicks situation where they literally just train ass and legs, and they get all the dietitian advice, they get all the workouts done for them, things like that, just because they look good in a pair of fitness tights.
that's just because they have ass shaped ass fat. They
Yeah,
have like glute shaped ass fat. Unless you're genetically blessed and like just naturally form like fat on your butt cheeks and nowhere
yeah.
else. Like I've seen it myself. It drives me up. It
I
absolutely
literally go on
riles
my
me.
search. If I'm going on the old search button on Instagram, and you can scroll through and it says like things that pop up, like I'll have a number of United things, a few things for basketball, like the 76ers post will pop up, and then all of a sudden you'll get like the odd fitness chick will pop up, and you're
76ers.
like, what's that?
The 76ers. That can't be who you support.
That's my team.
No way. That's hilarious.
Yeah, there's a reason behind it. It's one
Probably.
man. One man got me into the 76ers, and
Who?
obviously he retired. Allen Iverson.
Um,
He was
I'm
my
from
hero.
I'm from California, so I'm a Laker girl.
Yeah. My best mate's is a Lakers fan. He's a
So,
bit.
oh no, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, he's only a Lakers fan because he very very similar to me. Like when you get over here, obviously it wasn't the biggest thing in the world, basketball. So you sort of get the odd player that pops up and you're like, oh, fucking hell, they're good. His player was Shaq. So he used to follow the Magic until he moved to Lakers. And then he's obviously been Lakers ever since. Even when Shaq left, he was still Lakers. Where I was Iverson fan. I say Sixers fan. I was an Iverson fan. So he just
I get
happened to
it.
play for the.
That was like me. I used to go and watch Blackburn Rovers when Mark Hughes was the manager there.
Like a bit of Hughesy.
I was just a
Oh.
Sparky fan. I was just a Sparky fan.
I was going to say, you moved to Blackburn. That's random.
Oh
Why
yeah.
Blackburn?
So my mom was born in Liverpool and grew up in St. Helens.
Yeah.
And she went to Liverpool University. She's a dentist slash oral surgeon. When we were, obviously, I was born in California and grew up there. And when I was 14, she decided to move back to the UK because a number of reasons. We lived in Newport Beach, which is very similar to sort of living in, say, like Chelsea, Kensington. It's
Yeah.
extremely affluent, expensive, and they wouldn't allow her to practice dentistry. It's not a transferable qualification. So
Oh.
she was having to work like 2 or 3 different jobs. They would allow her to teach dentistry at USC, like University of Southern California, but they wouldn't allow her to practice. So she couldn't make the money to really afford to look after her family. So her best friends from university had a dental practice in Darwin, which is like a little teeny tiny town next to Blackburn, in between Blackburn and Bolton. And they were like, just come and work with us. We need a new dentist. And she was like, okay, great. So Christmas Eve, 1993, we arrive in the armpit of Lancashire. Anyway. And then that's just how it went. So and then so that's how we ended up here. And then I've lived all kinds of other places since coming here. Like I moved to Prague and then London and Leeds, Clitheroe, and then
Clitheroe, that's where the great and powerful Michael Bisping is from.
Yeah, you know what? It's beautiful, Clitheroe. If I had to live in the Northwest, like in Lancashire, where I would choose to live. Most recently, I've spent quite a lot of time in Chester. So, I've kind of moved about a little bit, but always came back to Darwin. But that was mainly because up until now, my daughter was at school here. Her dad was from here, but him and I moved around a little bit, like before she was born. He doesn't live here anymore, but because I came back here, my mom still lived here. And she went to school here. I didn't want to move her like my mom moved me when she was in secondary school. So I decided that if she started secondary school, we wouldn't move until she completed everything. But she's just completed her first year at university, and she's actually down in Bath, which, I mean, hello. That is way nicer.
I like the fact you say Bath, like I say Bath.
It is Bath, apparently. I've been
Bath.
I think people say Bath because they think it sounds like more posh, but I think from what I have been told, I might be completely wrong, so don't at me, but I've heard that actually the posh way to pronounce it is Bath, and that people think it's Bath, but it's actually not. So
I agree. See, we can go on a whole nother tangent here. I've had many arguments with family over this. All my like everyone I know puts like extra letters in things that shouldn't be there. I'm dyslexic, so I'm like, well, it's Bath because that's how it's spelled. Yeah. And I'm like, no, you've got to pronounce it Bath. And I went, where's the fucking R?
Bath. I'm just gonna call it Bath. I'm gonna call it Bath. That's what it is.
We'll do that. We'll go with that.
But now the exciting thing is that I stayed in the Darwin area, like this Lancashire area, because not only was my daughter at school here, but then I had set up, my career, my work in Preston. I was working in before. But that's recently all changed, and now I'm working remotely for myself, and I feel like I genuinely feel this like huge sense of freedom, like the world is my oyster. Yeah. I could literally get on a plane and go live in a cave in like the Greek islands somewhere, as long as I could hit some Wi-Fi to do my work.
It might be better than the Wi-Fi you got in your house, but
oh God, don't. Legit, that is so true. I mean, you guys could probably get better Wi-Fi. I get in this house. It's crazy. My mom goes out to Tanzania and gets better internet reception.
It's mad, mate. It's mad.
Mental. But that's what happens in Lancashire. It's like the land of time.
It's a strange place. A good number of my buddies live in the Lancashire area. I've got my mate Liam Burrows, who's I believe he's still out on tour. I can't go into detail of where he is and what he's doing because I got in trouble doing that once. Yeah, got a slap on the wrist for that. It was a Christmas time. I put a post up with him wearing his Christmas hat. He basically sent it me and went, "Happy Christmas, mate." And it was him on a mountain. So I posted it saying, "Happy Christmas to all those out there." And he was like, "Mate, you need to take that down."
Oh,
I was
shit.
like, "Why?" And he was like, "It's not so much the picture of me, it's who I'm working with." I was like, "Oh, sorry." So I got rid of that. But yeah, he's from Burnley. Another mate of mine, Dan Gentry. He's from the Blackburn area. Big Dan Gentry. Trying to think who else is up that way. Most of me buddies are down here down in the garden of England.
What's the Garden of England?
The lovely Kent, where
Ah.
it's pissing down the rain at the minute. I don't know if you can hear my roof.
Yeah, I can hear it. I can hear it. My older sister and brother were born in Kent.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Lovely. Yeah, I only moved here because this is where Kate's from. Kate's from Kent, and I'm actually from the west, so I'm from Hereford, just on the border of Wales.
I was just in Hereford.
Was you?
I was just there a couple of weeks ago because I'd been down south doing bits, for work and stuff. And as I have a couple of friends that live in Hereford, so I stopped by for a socially distanced, like, hello and coffee catch up. So yeah, it's really cute in Hereford.
I do miss it. It's where I grew up, so. And obviously, when I signed up, I then moved over completely the opposite side of the country to Norfolk and Suffolk area in Bury, St Edmunds, which is another nice.
Down there.
Yeah, it's nice. My house was on basically just off the camp. Like everybody else managed to get some decent housing a bit further out, but mine was literally on the camp. When I look back at it, though, I'm like, that was actually a really nice house. Now that I've got my own place, I'm like, it was a 3-bedroom terrace, but I was like, and the fact that we're only paying, it was only literally like 250, 300 quid for rent because it came straight out of my wages from the Air Force. So it was like brilliant. So all we had to do was pay for the bills. If we had any problems with the boiler or anything like that, they would come out and fix it.
Yeah,
madness.
you guys have it made with all that. You have it made.
And then you try and buy a house down here. Fuck me. Expensive, especially Kent, because it's so close to London and so close to all the major airports and things like that. The house prices are like, it's not cool. I need to move up north where it's cheaper.
Oh God, honestly, like where I live, you'd be sickened what you can buy for the money. Absolutely, like genuinely, you can get houses. I mean, not that you'd want to live in Darwin, but you can buy houses here for literally next to nothing. And if you get them at auction and do them up, you can get them for nothing.
It's a pain in my butt.
It's a big difference. But then it's funny because, like, with rental prices and stuff, the rental prices here are really high to say that the actual house prices aren't
probably better off buying or being able to buy it than rent. It's dead money anyway, Brendan. I'm trying to tell my brother that.
My daughter is obviously at university now in Bath, and we've just spent this week trying to get her accommodation sorted for her second year, and they have to live off campus. And I just had a look at the rental agreement, and I literally nearly shit the bed. It was unbelievable. They are paying, get this, £21,000 per year rent. That's for an 11-month lease contract. 21 grand. I was like,
those landlords are like, ching.
I'm disgusted. I was just like, I could have bought a house for that money. Like, that's insane. It's mental.
Yeah. I think before we managed to get our house, which is perfect for us at the minute. But before we got that, we were renting. It was a 3-bed. Again, a 3-bed terrace. It wasn't exactly ginormous by any stretch. Fucking hell, knocking all my whiskey bottles off.
Are we drinking already? Have I missed the memo?
No.
I am literally, I'm stuck. I don't know if you can see this, but I'm stuck drinking this absolute dog shit coffee. I mean, thank you to my daughter and stuff for going to get it for me, but I don't have any decent coffee in the house. So she's gone to get me a Starbucks. And, so if there's anyone listening who has a coffee company and you feel like sending me some samples, I am a coffee snob. I do
a bit like my pals at Dead Mammoth Coffee. Quick shout out.
I know, I love well, you've got the t-shirt on. It's been taunting me through this whole interview.
I'm sure if you speak to them, he might send you some samples. He's very good like that with podcast companies. He's done it with the wild ones.
That would be incredible.
Basically, he's got these things that are they look like tea bags, but they're coffee bags.
Yeah, coffee bags. They use them on Lavazza. Use them.
Yeah, I'm not just saying this because he's a supporter of the podcast, but it is genuinely one of the best coffees I've ever tasted. He roasts it to order. He grinds it, especially to how you want the beans ground down. What? It's like a fucking advert.
I hope he's paying you.
But yeah, he's been a guest on the show as well. He's and is a veteran-owned company, so it's always good.
I love that there's so many, there are a lot of veteran-owned coffee companies, and I can see why, because it's obviously a very important part of your life. I would have thought it's where you get that kick of just happiness.
I think the big one that started it all off was Black Rifle Coffee, the American one. They're again very similar in the way that Dead Mammoth are, where they grind it and roast it to order. But
that is what makes all the difference.
Yeah. From what I was told by the Dead Mammoth Coffee Company, is a lot of the veteran companies get a lot of bulk coffee and then send it off, so it's not as good, apparently.
Well, I mean, that's the thing about Starbucks, is that you can tell it was roasted 2 years ago, and then it got shipped out, and because it tastes stale and burnt. And then I feel like they burn it when they roast it, and then the baristas burn it when they pass it. And where I grew up in Newport Beach, they had a company called Dietrich's that was it started off just as a one-off little boutique coffee shop, a specialist coffee shop. And then it grew and grew, and he ended up selling the company. And he just hated the fact that it was turning into a chain and a franchise. So he just sold it off, and then started his own coffee shop again, and it's called Kian Coffee. And I have been in there it's my absolute favorite coffee shop on the planet. And whenever I go home, I go there, and I've talked to him, and he spends his whole life, every year, he just travels all over the world sourcing the best coffee harvests that year.
Yeah.
So he'll just fly all over the world.
That's awesome.
Sampling all the different coffees, the ones that he likes the best, and he'll get them from a range of strength from 1 to 10, so he has a whole range of them for different things. And then he'll send them back to the store, and everything is done in whole bean form. No. And he said the problem is that once it's been roasted and ground, you've literally got 2 weeks to drink it before it goes stale. And so that's why if Mammoth Coffee are doing that, where they're actually roasting it and grinding it to order, then you have the best chance of it still being fresh and at its absolute best. So I love that.
He's got some brilliant t-shirts and that as well that go with it. Obviously, I've got the original t-shirt on now. His hoodie is awesome. Is the best hoodie I've got.
Is it?
It's like a jacket hoodie.
Oh, nice.
Mammoth fur in the hood and things. Obviously, it's not mammoth fur.
Well,
but, I'm sure he's got one perfect t-shirt for you, as you said it. He's got one that says coffee snob.
Love it.
Coffee snob t-shirt.
Yeah,
He's
I
got
would
one
definitely
like
wear
coffee
that.
hub as well with the the Porn Hub logo. He's got coffee hub. He's got some good stuff. I'll send you the link to his
Yeah,
to his thing.
definitely. Well, I definitely would hit one of those shirts for like one of those t-shirts for sure. Like
Uh,
today I just received yesterday after a very long wait. Not was the big, by the way, that they're like mad crazy busy and coronavirus and everything,
yeah,
and they do make everything to order. But like I'm repping my Keep Attacking hoodie today. I've definitely felt like the camo snapback was a step too far for a podcast interview, but
no, you should have flopped it on.
well, I can't
I
put my
actually
headphones on, can I?
This is 2 weeks in a row now where I haven't worn a hat. I usually wear my trucker hats.
Well, that's my hat.
Yeah,
I do
there
love
he
it.
is, Ryan Wood, MC.
I know. Do you know what? I've only met him once, but what a guy!
Yeah,
Like
I've
a guy.
I've had a few chats with him. In fact, I've asked him if he would, because I know he's really into his football. I know he loves football. So it was supposed to be happening within a couple of weeks. I was supposed to be having a charity football match against Spurs, but obviously the lockdown and shit. So it's been moved to next year.
Okay.
And I've saved him a place. So I've asked him if he wants to play, he can play. And he was like, yeah, definitely. But he's also doing his stuff for his movie because they're making his book into a movie, aren't they?
I know.
So he was like, I'm doing that. I was like, well, if you're free, the space is available. We'll save you the number 10 shirt so you can come and play. We've actually got one of my other guests who is also playing, Brad Pickett, UFC fighter. He's going to be playing, so I might put him in midfield to scare some of the Spurs players.
That's amazing. I love it. What charity are you doing that for?
We're doing it for Mind, the mental health charity.
Okay.
And they're not classed as a charity. They're more of an organisation, I believe. But Rock to Recovery. You might have heard of those.
Jason Fox.
They're former Marines. I know that. They do loads of different things. They basically help veterans and family members of veterans with any sort of issue, whether it's financial issues, mental health problems, physical problems, anything like that. But most of their stuff from charities is usually from like individual events or semi-team events where they like go at the fucking Brecon Beacons or they do a massive bike ride. And they were actually quite shocked that I've basically said that we'll do it with the football match, and they're like, well, no one's ever done a football match for Rock to Recovery before. I'm like, well, I'll be your first then.
Well, that'll be good. I think. Do you not think that's like a nice? It's like a good team camaraderie.
That's one of the reasons why I did it, and having with the amount with it's a mixture because obviously I've got a load of buddies that I served with that are going to be playing. A couple of them are still serving now. A good few of my buddies from back home in Hereford that I used to play football with when I was growing up, my brother being one of them. Obviously, a couple of famous faces with Brad Pickett and possibly Chris Barker, who is on SAS Who Dares Wins. He might be playing. He might be able to play this time. He couldn't play for some reason. I can't remember why. Overscheduled. But the big one, it's a very selfish reason. So my old man always had a dream of playing football alongside me and my brother in the same team. But by the time I was in the men's team, he had already retired from football because he would have been about 50 something and he was done. So we never had that opportunity to play. So I was like, Dad, make this your last game. So my dad's going to be playing, my brother's playing, and I'm playing all in the same team.
Oh, that's incredible.
It's quite funny. My dad will be, when we actually get it sorted, my dad will be 69. He'll be 70 in the September.
What?
And his position is in goal. So I don't know how much he's actually playing. because we've seen it before. It's like he has this. It's like he forgets how old he is. Like he was a very, very, very talented goalkeeper. To the point where he was almost in the Chelsea, West Ham squads, but decided to join the Air Force instead because at that time I think they were being paid more than the football players.
Yeah.
He ended up playing for Doncaster Rovers and Kidderminster Harriers and teams like that. But yeah, he's a very talented goalkeeper, but that mentality is still in his head. So if we're having a kickabout and I take a shot, he'll dive down and try and save it, but then take him about 4 years for him to get back up again. So
yeah,
well, I mean, we'll
your dad's got the believe your own bullshit mindset, right?
He has.
That's it.
And,
I mean, I think
he's put his body through a lot of shit as well. He was a parachute jump instructor for most of his career, so he jumped out of planes for a living. So his knees, ankles, back is all fucked. Which the actual funny story is he had a specialist medical to get a bit of compensation out of the Air Force for it, and he is classed as something stupid like 27% disabled because of his ankles and his knees and his back. However, they did this test on him and they said, right, through your military career, we're only going to give you the payout for your ankles and your back. My dad was like, so what about my knees? And they were like, well, we can't say that is from parachuting. He was like, so I don't bend my knees when I parachute or when I land. So they were like,
but like,
the amount of things that they.
Why would you pay out for the thing at the bottom, the thing at the top, and not the thing in the middle?
Exactly. But he's also one of those ones where he's like, well, whatever, and he doesn't like going to the doctor anyway. He doesn't like in things like that. So he just like whatever, they'll give me. But yeah, it's like a hereditary thing because my ankles are fucked as well.
You mentioned about the ankle rehab. Oh my god, that must have been absolute gosh.
Yeah, it was. I believe I didn't even finish the program because I was like, this is so boring. Like, I wake up in the morning. Yeah, it all came about on my. I was on a promotion course before I came out to be promoted to Lance Corporal, and I came off because basically I rolled my ankles on a speed march. Literally one of those ones where you take a step, your ankle goes, you take another step, and the other one goes. And I was like, oh, for fuck's sake! No. But I was forever doing it anyway. It's like second nature to me. I'll roll my ankle and just carry on going. But they were like, no, Tomo, you got to go to the med center and get it checked out. So I did. Went and saw the physio, and his first words were, "How many parachute jumps have you done?" I was like, "I haven't done any." And he was like, "Well, these are the worst ankles I've seen, apart from paratroopers." He's like, "You've literally got zero ligaments in your ankles." I was like, "What?" And they were like, "Did you do any sports before you joined up?" I was like, "Yeah, obviously." Basketball. Once again, I played basketball. And they went, "Did you injure yourself?" I was like, well, I rolled my ankle a few times, but I'd carry on playing. They went, well, there's your problem. You didn't let your ankles heal. I was like, fuck. Crack on with rehab. So I had to stick those bands round, do all the fucking crab walking, do all the balance stuff. I was like, I'm done with this.
Do you know what though? It's so important. What you don't realize is actually the impact that having stable ankles, like having strong, stable, functioning ankle joints, is so important to the rest of the functionality of your body.
100%.
Like, very often people who get certain types of back and shoulder injuries, it can stem all the way back to not healing and rehabbing a sprained ankle properly. So everything is connected, and very often things are contralaterally connected, like across the body. So like you might like sprain your right ankle, but have tons of problems with your left shoulder or something, you know, like, and actually they're all interlinked. So that's why, as much as I don't want to do the boring hip rehab, I know I 100% have to do it because your hips are literally that central focal point to your core, and your spine comes off of them, and your legs come off of
Yeah.
them. And at the,
I've, I'm very impatient. That was my like. It's very similar to I was a personal trainer before I joined up. So I was a young personal trainer though, from the age of 17 to 20. So and then I've carried on doing the boot camps and shit. Not so much now, as you can see. Put a bit of timber on, but whatever. But yeah, I'm very impatient, and I always used to not so much practice what I'd preach, things like stretching and rehabbing properly. So if I got an injury playing football, I would just go, oh, I'll strap that up, I'll be all right, and carry on playing. Instead of like taking that time to go through the Rice procedure or whatever, that sort of thing, where I'd sit in, like, even if I was like, I rolled my ankle a few weeks ago. Literally, I was doing the Murph challenge. I had my weighted vest on. It's actually quite a funny story. So I had my weighted vest on. I went out for the run. I was on my way back from the mile, and I went over a pothole. My ankle went. As I stumbled, I like hit the deck, but the plate carrier hit me in the face. So I was like, "Fuck!" I got in. I put the peas on me. Put the frozen peas on my ankle. I know. I'm like, Tomo, you've got to put this on for 10 minutes at least, and then do a bit of heat, cold. Make sure you do all that. And then I was literally there for about 2.5 minutes, and I went, "Oh, that'll do." What are the kids doing? It's
and you only did it once, right?
yeah, literally once. And I was like, no wonder you wake up in the morning and look like you're 65 years old.
Yeah, I mean, I got tagged in something on Twitter the other day by an adventurer guy that I know, and he's like, I was challenged to do like the Murph every day for 30 days or what, like I challenge you to do it. And I was like, you don't know me at all, like at all, because the chances of me doing any kind of like CrossFit WOD are like definitely slim to none. And I mean, I'm a very fit and active person, but like my body personally just cannot tolerate like the impact of CrossFit training, like style training. It's just way too aggressive for my body. That's just something that I know about my body.
Way too aggressive for most people's body.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, like I can run a mile. That's fine. I mean, I wouldn't enjoy any of it because for me, I always feel like the first mile is the death mile anyway. Like it takes a mile before you even can breathe properly. Or running's not my not my strong suit either.
Same here. I hate running.
Run the mile, but I'm not going to do 100 pull-ups. I'm not going to do 100 pull-ups. And unless I am going to like commit to doing the Murph and for like 12 hours where I could possibly rep out 100 pull-ups in that time, like
that's
I'd have
one
to
of the other things as well. I don't see that they do the gymnastic butterfly move, don't they?
Kipping pull-ups.
Yeah. Hey, just do a strict pull-up and let's see you do 100 of those.
Yeah, 100. Listen, I have a girlfriend out in Marbella. She's one of my best friends, and she was a CrossFit coach, extremely strong. She can deadlift twice her body weight, squat twice her body weight. She's an absolute machine, but she couldn't do a pull-up. Not one strict pull-up, right? So super strong, but couldn't do a pull-up. Then once she like managed to get the technique of that, like she can do all the kipping pull-ups, the butterfly.
Yeah, most of them can.
She can do those, but with like perfect form and technique, which is great, but she can also do the strict pull-up. So I don't have any issue with that. It's the fact that like, if you can't do one strict pull-up, let's leave the cheating kipping pull-ups to the side. Just do some eccentric pull-ups and like learn how to do it, get strong enough to do it. But for me to do 100 strict pull-ups, it's going to take me
a while.
A good few hours.
And you're going to be in clip the next day.
Like, I'm not going to do it. It's just not going to happen. Let's be honest about it.
I like to troll every now and then, like not troll. Yeah, but troll. when they like post up.
You've been bullied, you've been
I've,
internet trolled, and
I've
then
been I've
you
been
get
trolling
involved in
everybody. No, it's not so much. I'm not attacking the
fans.
person as such. It's more like they'll put, "Oh, I managed to do 250 pull-ups," and you see the video and they're doing all those, and I'm like, "Not one rep was completed."
That's exactly
Try
it.
again.
Yeah, you mean, yeah, I mean, that's just like, again, I try and be like tolerant of everybody's. It's people enjoy different things, and I do understand. I really do understand why people love CrossFit. You know, I think it's far more about the community feel.
It's a good community. I agree, and
Absolutely.
Me and my brother have always trained, we'll say, CrossFit-esque, inverted commas.
Yeah, but you two are built for it.
I prefer to say more of a hybrid sort of training where we full body train. We do some of the Olympic lifts and things like that, but we don't do it to the point where you've got these massive weights and then you're trying to do it for time.
Time and speed.
Because your technique goes out the window. You're asking for an injury. You're going to blow your back out.
I will do all types of CrossFit training as far as the Olympic lifts and the conditioning style things, but I'm not going to do an Olympic lift for time and reps. Like, why do I want it? Why would I do that to myself? Like, I want to be able to be 50 and walk.
Yeah.
And not have my joints completely shot. Now, even if you're using proper technique, once you start putting pace in and you start to fatigue,
eventually
it goes out the window. You know, and that CrossFit athletes, we have to remember, are not only genetically blessed and genetic freaks of nature, but they're mainly assisted. None of them are actually really natural. So they
are you suggesting that they take performance enhancing supplements from?
Did I just say that out loud? Spoiler alert for anyone who didn't know. Sorry. Yeah. Any girl that has delts the size of a man, except maybe there might be one in like a million women who are capable of having big delts. It's a big giveaway. And you know, like there are people who are just genetically blessed and built for that kind of movement and that kind of training and stuff.
Also, a lot of them, I wouldn't say failed, but a lot of them have tried other sports and not made it to that level. Like, for example, the main guy, Matt Fraser, he was an Olympic lifter, wasn't he? Or was attempting to be an Olympic lifter. So, of course, he's got that.
He is incredible. And let it just be said that performance-enhancing drugs is not just like, that isn't just
about
CrossFit.
Yeah,
that is
like, don't just take it in then all of a sudden.
Well, not only that, it's like performance enhancing drugs are used across all sports, right? This is not just about CrossFit. This is like every single professional sport or like Olympic styles. They use things, all different types of things, you know, like to help them. But you have to remember that the people that are using those are also genetically blessed on top of it. And they have a work ethic like nobody else. So
exactly.
It's like I could take performance enhancing drugs. It's not going to have the same effect on me as it is on someone who is trained. Like these people literally train from morning till night. Like their whole life is set up around being the best that they can.
There's got to be some sort of. There's got to be something going on because the amount of training that they do. You know.
Just recovery time.
Yeah, it's like where is, like, for example, I had Josh Bridges on, on the show, and by all accounts, super clean, athlete, but you can also tell that he's obviously got that work ethic from his military background. He was a Navy SEAL, and he's just a fucking beast. But it's again like when do they fit in all these, like the recovery times and things? Like they must recover at some point. I mean, because you can't keep doing that day in and day out unless they just post videos that are old. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I think anyone who's performing at that level, their recovery is definitely programmed into their routines and stuff. When I was doing my personal training, I used to go on courses with a guy called Charles Poliquin. He's passed away now, but he was one of the world's like leading experts, like strength and conditioning coaches on the planet. He'd coached gold medal Olympians in over 20 sports, winter and summer Olympic sports. Like the guy was an absolute machine. He could crank out like gold medalists in just about anything. He was a genius, you know. But everything that he did was around recovery. So you could only train as hard as you could recover.
Yeah.
Everything was looked into, from the training style to the frequency to the intensity to the nutrition to the sleep to the supplements that were being taken around that. So it's all done as like a big whole picture. And people just don't realize how much actually goes into all of that. So like, I'm not knocking anyone who is a professional athlete who, you know, chooses to do whatever they do to get where they want to be. Like, they're already on a different level to 99.9% of the population. So when you're trying to pick between that like 0.1% of the population, then it really just does come down to like.
I also it's like a standing joke with me and my brother as well. It's like, just let them do it. Like if they want to do it, just do it. They're not hurt. They're only going to hurt themselves if they're going to hurt anyone. It's not like they're professional athletes in the terms of like boxing or mixed martial arts, where they're actually going to be generating more power that could literally kill someone. It's like, of course, I want to see someone beat Usain Bolt's 100-meter record. If he has to, you know.
Do you think it's possible in the next like 5 years? I feel like he's going to hold that for quite some time.
I think so. And I also think it's mad that he actually slowed down to sort of do a pose
at the end.
Yeah, he's like looking around still. It's like, if he madness.
But he's like a total representation of that, like, just genetic freak, you know, like
100%.
Don't get me wrong.
He's not built like a normal sprinter either.
No, but he also has the work ethic of like an absolute warhorse, right? So like, he's just crazy. He never stops. But then
and loves chicken nuggets.
I was about to say, and the dude's fueled on chicken nuggets. So like,
just shows the power of chicken nuggets.
It shows the power of a McDonald's nugget. I wonder if he ever tried. I wonder if he ever tried the spicy McNugget.
Oh.
Did you ever try those when they came out?
Yeah, of course I did.
That was my like little ritual. I used to go every like Friday. I would drop my ex off at training, and we'd go to McDonald's before and just like devour. I'd get, you know, like chicken selects with a McNugget chaser.
It's just all the chicken.
It was all the chicken
sandwich.
It was like my favorite part of the week.
When I was right, this is no word of a lie, and I should have patented this and copyrighted it because KFC stole it. So the
that's fighting
the chicken Tuesdays, Tuesdays that they now do. I used to do that at college. Me and my best mate Chris, I would send him off on his moped. He would go down to KFC and we would get, this is how fat we were, but you could tell we used to train every day. Have a mega bucket each with the 4 fries and the sides, and we would devour that. That was our ritual. Chicken Tuesdays. Those were the days. Now
I didn't even realize that was a thing.
Giggles for a week.
I didn't even realize that, like, the Chicken Tuesday thing. I didn't realize that was something that KFC like coined. I thought that it just was.
Just was a thing.
It just makes sense. Chicken Tuesday
Should make sense.
Although, like you, I can't handle the KFC. My stomach can't deal with that kind of
I do
annihilation.
I do love a KFC, but my it's a standing joke this with her side of the family. They hold grudges on food and things. So, for example, she had a bad KFC once. Well, she thinks it was the KFC's fault. So now she will never go in there again. She'll never have another KFC because she got ill once. Her granddad once had a bad. I think it started off. He had a bad Costa coffee once, where they put like sour milk
Rotten
in
milk,
or
yeah.
something. So he was like, right, I'm never going to Costa again. He then went and just had Starbucks.
Well, stop
Starbucks was the
drinking
best.
coffee with milk.
And then, yeah, exactly. Don't put the milk in it. Just have it
Drink
black.
it black like a real man.
Yeah, drink it black and strong like I like my men. What? like my soul, should I say? Like my soul.
I was gonna say.
Only on a Thursday. Yeah. So, and then he had a bad Starbucks, and he was like, right now, where are you going to go now?
Oh my God. Yeah, where are you?
I don't know what they do.
He
now.
needs to go to Dead Mammoth Coffee. That's where he needs to go.
That's where he needs to go. Yeah.
I feel like you have a really busy week between like Chicken Tuesday and Man Love Thursday. What are you gonna do? Like,
well, you've got to try and be normal. You've got to try and be normal on the other days. As normal as I can.
So, oh no, God! Wait, it is Tuesday. Does that mean we're eating chicken? And there's a United match. You didn't notice my dog's called Neville.
Brilliant. I didn't notice. Do you know what? I just thought you just had a funny name for a dog.
I do, but
I like it when people have like regular human names for animals.
Yeah, I mean, it's the best.
Like name your. I served with a bloke called Sean Faulkner. He ended up leaving my regiment and joined the Para Reg. But he had a pet tortoise, and he called it Mary.
Brilliant.
Mary the tortoise.
I love that. Well, I mean, I have a black Labrador called Neville.
I'm not jealous.
Honestly, he's such a baby. He's a Drake's Head Lab, so he's a gun dog. So he's not. He's a bit leaner, smaller than like a regular domestic lab. Dopey as shit, mind, but he's just the sweetest thing. He's a little soft. I wish he was a little tougher. That would be helpful. But yeah, he was called Neville. He came from a litter of like 8 puppies, and they were all boys. So they named every single one of these boy puppies an old man name.
And you just happened to get Neville.
Well, there was like Frank and Harry and Neville and like all these Walter, that kind of stuff. And yeah. So I got Neville, and then I just thought I can't change his name. It's too cute. Like it does suit him. And then obviously, I mean, I'm just the Nevilles. I'm not a huge fan of Gary Neville, only because I met him once and I was highly disappointed.
Really?
With his yeah, he was a bit of a dick. But when he'd been injured for nearly 2 years, and so I went to Old Trafford, and we had friends that had season tickets like in the back row of the director's box. So we were at one of the matches, and I was sat right behind Gary Neville and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And Sir Bobby.
You haven't seen Sir Alex just sat there.
Well, I did, and because we were right like where they walk out to sit in the seats. So like we were right in the director's box. So yeah, he was there. Bobby Charlton was like 2 seats in front of Sir. Bobby Charlton was like 2 seats in front of me.
He needs to be wrapped up in cotton wool.
He had his his big Russian hat and his blanket and stuff like that. And like James Nesbitt was there, and
fucking hell.
And what's he called from Simply Red?
McCutnell.
Yeah, so there were tons of them. And there was this little boy sitting next to me, and he asked Gary Neville for an autograph, because like when you sit there, they give you programs, and it's like a little fancy bit. and he asked Gary Neville for to sign his program for him, and he was just like, could not be bothered. And I was just like, you've been injured for 2 years, and the day is going to come when someone doesn't even know who you are.
Yeah.
Like, sign the boys program and stop being a little bitch. It really made me angry.
I remember someone saying that once. I can't remember what player it is, but they would literally go out of their way to sign autographs, as many as they could, because there would be that time where nobody's going to remember who you are.
But now he's a pundit and he's all over the place.
Yeah.
And we'll never forget who he is because we never stop seeing him. And, whatever. I don't know. He's kind of grown on me a little bit more actually now that he's not playing. But it was funny because I dated a guy who, more than dated, but I was with a guy that had a dog called Rio, and it was actually named after Rio Ferdinand. So when we would take the dogs out, we had Rio and Neville. And we used to joke.
Two of the back four.
Well, we actually used to joke and say, like, if, when are we going to get, like, Vidic and Evra? And,
yeah.
and
would you call it Evra or would you call it Patrice?
Always, I said that. I was like, Evra's the shittest name for a dog ever. Like, we would definitely need to call it Patrice. Pat, did you, while we're talking about that, did you see him and Roy Keane on Sky last week? Because I literally cried with laughter with the two of them doing the halftime punditry. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life.
I missed the halftime punditry. I can't remember what I was doing. I was doing something with the girls, I think. But I saw the clip of Roy Keane obviously going crazy about David De Gea. I was like, so I'm a huge Roy Keane fan anyway. He was literally my footballing hero.
So,
he was who I played like when I played. I tried to beat everything Roy Keane. In fact, at one point when I was a kid, I would wear a Roy Keane T-shirt underneath my football shirt when I was playing.
Just for extra, like.
Just for, yeah. Because I'd be like, if I didn't wear it, I was like, well, I can't be like Roy Keane today.
Oh God, he was so funny. He was just like, and that goal, I'm sick of that goalkeeper. He's like, if I was in that dressing room at halftime, I'd be fighting him. He was fuming. I was in stitches. He was just like,
it was funny.
Oh, he's just brilliant. Yeah, he's like, I'd be swinging punches. I'd be fighting him at halftime. He was like Maguire, and then it was just the way that he was like slagging off Maguire, slagging off Luke Shaw, and then he wouldn't even say his name, De Gea. He just went, and I'm sick to death of that goalkeeper. Like,
doesn't deserve a name.
Doesn't even get a name. Like, he's like, I wouldn't even be letting him on the bus to get home. I'd make him walk.
Yeah. It's been a reoccurring thing for many years that United have lost that bit of passion, I think. But having Fernandes come in, is something about him when he's playing that he's talking to the players more. It just seems like there's more. And as much as Maguire lacks a lot of pace at the back, I think his leadership is coming through a bit more now. Things seem to be clicking. I think there's a couple more players we need to sign if possible, or look through the youth team. But yeah, there seems to be a bit of a change, which is good. I'm actually enjoying watching United play football again, where previous years I was either being bored to death or just shouting at the TV because of the lack of passion.
Yeah, or you get I was going to Old Trafford to almost every home match and just leaving having like a panic attack because I'd spend like 2 solid hours with ramped up anxiety.
Yeah.
And just like leaving and having to like decompress from leaving the match. Like, it was just so frustrating. And I know like that's silly. Maybe I shouldn't let a sport like get to me so much or whatever. But when you're stood in the Stratford end with thousands of people and the atmosphere is like it is, and you know that you're watching a team that you have like an emotional attachment to, and
Yeah, yeah.
they're not playing, like you're watching people. Like I think what you were saying about Bruno is so true, because I think one of the things that he's brought is not just he's so skillful, but he's also really confident, and he's
Yeah,
brought his
yeah.
confidence and not allow the club or anyone that he plays with or managed by like overshadow that and knock it out of him before he even starts. And he's like his own person. So whereas I think what happened was we got other people coming. Wait, we got other people coming in, like say Pogba, who obviously is a very naturally talented player,
Yeah.
but his attitude
Yeah,
was
he
terrible.
has a very arrogant
Right?
attitude, where it's not so much. Sometimes I think he's overconfident. But
Yep.
I
They've
had this discussion the other day with one of me mates. I was like, the thing is, you got to remember with Pogba, when everyone was saying, oh, he's not the same player as he was when he was at Juventus. It's like, well, no, because when he was at Juventus, he was allowed to be himself, because he had
yeah
players like Pirlo and whoever else was in the midfield to let him just go and be Paul Pogba. When he first
yeah
came to United, there was glimpses where he was like, "Fucking hell, he is world class."
yeah.
But then he would have times where he was as though he was being told, "No, you have to stay there and just do that." It might have been Mourinho doing that to him. It might have been. It was it Mourinho? It
It
might have
was
been Louis
Mourinho.
van Gaal that did it. That told him that no, you can't. It was as though he didn't have that extra person next to him that could let him be himself.
No, he didn't. But then also, I think what it showed was a distinct lack of integrity
Yeah,
and a real immaturity and lack of manly character for him to spit his dummy out like a big baby
yeah, he did.
and start behaving like a petulant child who, right, well, if you're not going to let me do what I want, then fuck you and fuck the rest of the team. And
Yeah,
I'm
I
just going to
agree.
go and sort myself out.
And you could
It,
sort of see why Ferguson let him go. He
yeah,
obviously
because
saw glimpses of that.
that's not a team player. Like, what happens if you're
No.
out on an operation and one of the guys that you're out there? I know it's not a life or death situation, but the reality of it is that they're a team and they're trying to achieve a
Yeah,
goal. If you believe you're so full of that much self importance that you don't think you have to play as a team and that you don't have the team's like best interest at heart, you only have your own at heart, then that's not really ever going to work either. So I think what Bruno's done really well he's come into the side. He's been able to bring his like incredible skill, but also his incredible like mindset,
yeah, yeah,
sportsmanship, in like actual leadership. And then now he's got people like Pogba going, oh wait, shit, like he's actually really good, and that would actually be fun to play with him. Like maybe if I
yeah,
have a
yeah,
better attitude about it, like we could actually do something really special here. And that now you can actually see that the few that fell off who had more like attitudinal issues, it wasn't really
yeah, yeah,
about their skill level. It looked like their skill level dropped. It didn't. They just had a poor mindset. And now you see
yeah.
Pogba out
The
there and
likes of
he's like
Sanchez.
smashing it up.
The
Yeah.
likes of Sanchez. He had a terrible attitude. Like he
Do
was
you
a
know
big
what
fish at
though?
Arsenal.
Yeah, but then I was at Old Trafford when he made his Old Trafford debut, and I felt for him. He was the only person on the pitch who even cared. He was the only
Yeah,
person in that entire match who tried. And how disheartening must it be to make a dream transfer to
yeah,
Manchester United, to get there and have every single one of them like huffing and puffing and strolling around and can't be asked. And like he spent the entire match running around trying to jeer everybody up, trying to get them all going, trying to like fire them up. And it was his first match at Old Trafford.
yeah.
And he ended up scoring a penalty and it was great, but I felt bad for him and I could see why
Yeah.
he struggled there. And I'm not saying that how he behaved after that was right, but it would be like walking into like a toxic room and,
Yeah,
and trying to be the one
there was
to,
already something wrong.
yeah,
It was as though you had the manager and then you had the players, and the players didn't want to. I don't think the players wanted to play for Mourinho anymore.
no, no.
Unfortunately, my
But
old
I'm
man
excited.
said it from the start. He said Mourinho is not a good fit for Manchester United, and I was like, nah, he's a tested manager. He knows what he's doing. But then when I was actually watching it, it was like, oh yeah, you're right.
I thought he was going to do great things and it just didn't work out that way.
It just didn't happen,
And
unfortunately.
I'm just really excited. I'm excited to see like how the rest of this season plays out, how they do in the 2021 season when that finally starts. And like
Yeah.
they play
Well,
again
we've
today.
got
They're won the last
playing
three. So
today. We've got Chelsea in the semis.
I mean, that'll be interesting.
They've been playing well since they've come back from lockdown.
I know. I
I
know.
hate Chelsea.
But you know what? I actually hate them maybe the most.
Really?
I've never met a Chelsea fan I like.
Special.
It's actually less about the team and more about their supporters.
Yeah.
Is that bad?
I think
Uh,
a lot of Chelsea fans forget that there was a Chelsea before 2004. Well, I've had many. My Kate's cousin. I think he might be 14, 15 now. I think, but he's a Chelsea fan, and he's one of those ones that I don't know. Everything Chelsea thinks is God's gift, but he's got no comeback when you put facts in front of him.
but
Like he
he's
tried to
so
say,
young.
yeah, he tried to have a little Twitter argument with me because I sent him a picture when we beat him again, and I was like, look, we beat you again, and he was like, well, you had this crap manager. Like sent me a gif of David Moyes. I was like, okay, anything else? And he tried doing something else, and I was like, okay, here you go. I literally just put like all our trophies in like it was literally just like the trophy emoji. And I think there was something like 45 or something I put on there. And I went, there you go. That's all our trophies we got. You're nowhere close.
I mean, it's difficult because
Whereas,
I love football. I love all sport really, and I really enjoy like I'll go and watch any sport live. I've come from
yeah,
a real sporty family. Like they absolutely are diehard sports fans, and with their rugby and their football, tennis, anything. And then obviously my dad with the racing and stuff. But I moved to this country in December '93 and I was in the northwest of England. So the little town that I live in has a real mixture of teams that get supported. So there's a mix between Blackburn Rovers because it's literally a mile and a half away, Ewood Park.
yeah,
There's a mix of United fans, City fans, yeah, Liverpool fans. There's a real mix around here, so you can kind of take your pick. My mom was a Liverpool fan. We used to have season tickets at Blackburn Rovers just because it was literally down the street, and at the time
yeah.
they were in the Premier League, and they actually won it the year after we got here. So we were lucky to get to go and watch like some really decent football and stuff. But that was a long time ago. Um, all of the people that I kind of befriended when I first moved here were United fans. So I think for me, my kind of love of United and love of the game all kind of came around watching football. Like that was how we used to socialize. We would go to the pub and we would watch the game and we'd have a drink
Yeah,
and a
yeah,
laugh. And so United was the team that I used to watch all the time. But if you're talking, this was like in 94, 95, 96.
yeah,
Like who
yeah.
else would you want to be watching in those years other than United? Like it was
Exactly.
an
100%.
incredible time. So I think maybe I was a little spoiled and what I got to watch and what I got to kind of
Yeah.
wear
It's
my
a good though. Like
yeah.
I was brought up as a United fan. My dad's a United fan, and when my dad was younger, they lived in places like Malta and Malaysia and places like that. So the only teams they heard of were literally Liverpool or Manchester United.
Yes.
So my dad was a United fan, and he basically told me that I was a United fan. And me being only like 2 or 3 when I first started liking football, that's who I supported. I was like, yeah, Dad told me to. So like, bit of a sheep in that way. Where my brother is very much, if my dad tells my brother to do something, he'll do the opposite. So my dad told my brother to support Man United. He went, no, I'm going to support Everton to start with. So he was an Everton fan when he was really little. And then I can't remember what happened, but my dad was like, right, you're supporting Man United in this game. It was Man United Arsenal. And my brother went, no, I support Arsenal. So
not okay.
Ever since my brother's been an Arsenal fan, which at the moment is quite funny because I can
feel
just
like
laugh
that's
at him.
Very fickle.
Yeah.
Where's the integrity there? I don't.
But
I take it back because if I ever meet your brother, I don't want to meet.
Yeah. So growing up, it was very much. It was good because obviously there was the rivalry between Arsenal and Man United, which made for some brilliant entertainment within the Thompson household.
Well, with that said, have you ever seen the documentary with Roy Keane and
yes,
and Vieira?
Best of Enemies.
It is like that is the best sporting documentary ever made on the planet. It's incredible.
Wouldn't go that far.
Yeah, it is. It was hilarious. I was riveted. I thought they were hilarious.
It was really good. I did like the bit where they finally picked their team at the end. I thought that was
the best 11.
Yeah.
I actually felt like it was too easy for them. Like I expected that to end in. Like,
I thought there would be a bit more. Well, I
drama.
want this person.
Yeah, I thought there was going to be more conflict, but they were way too appeasing. I felt like
the best 11 argument I heard was with Jamie Carragher and Roy Keane when they were picking the best 11, and they was
Jamie Carragher.
How can you? How can you not have Ryan Giggs? And he was like, "Are you saying that Ryan Giggs is one?" And he was like, "Ryan Giggs."
I know, but I just don't think he likes Jamie Carragher at all. No. I think he would argue with him like about anything.
Yeah. I think I would argue with Jamie Carragher.
He's really, there's something about him that just winds you up, isn't there?
Yeah, just definitely.
Naturally. No, they're brilliant. Definitely. I hope he wasn't commentating on the last one because it was on BBC, wasn't it? So
it was, yeah.
Hopefully tonight will be on Sky and we'll get to have some shits and giggles.
I'll be watching that on my phone as always.
On your phone?
Yeah, well, during the lockdown we decided to get rid of our Sky, so we're just doing the Freeview. To be fair, we are saving a good £64, so it's like and we're on BT broadband. So I would like to stop my BT Sport because there's no sport. They were like, oh, okay. So, and then obviously the football's come back on, but my dad sent me a link to something that I can use, which is good because it's all in English. The previous app I used, it'd be in like Dutch and all sorts. And I was like,
I just find anytime I've tried to use one of those streaming links, it messes with my computer. Like, I just don't even want to go there with them. I'm worried I'm going to get some virus.
Some virus, yeah.
It's like Pornhub whenever you click on something like that. And then the next thing you know, you're getting emails trying to get you to,
They all go to the junk email.
Yeah, but I've never put my email address in. So like, how does that even work? That's the scary thing. My dad was right. It's all about barcoding.
Yeah.
I knew the second I had that tattoo, I was ruined. Pornhub caught me with my tattoo.
Pornhub caught you with your tattoo, yeah.
I feel like this just took a turn for the worst.
This just took a turn now.
We're going into dark.
We're talking about football streaming sites, and now we're on fucking Pornhub.
I don't know. I feel like we've ended up in like the dark web territory. Gone too far.
To quote the movie Ted, you're only three clicks away from big black cocks.
At all
Look,
times.
see?
You're probably only 3 clicks away from anything on the internet at this point.
Yeah.
I just like dread to think. I
Yeah, you just
dread to think.
start typing. It says, "Did you mean?" No, I didn't mean that.
Definitely didn't mean that. Saying that, your phone listens to you anyway.
It does. Spying on you.
But honestly, it's really bad. It's scary. But what can you do? You want
Yeah.
access. You want access to the world, which means the world has access to you. So I guess that the trade-off.
Double-edged sword, isn't it? I've used that saying far too often. It's a double-edged
What's the
sword.
double-edged?
Yeah.
Well, I
must have said it 4 times in my last podcast.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, we've managed to avoid it until nearly 2.5 hours in. I feel like this podcast has had a real Joe Rogan feel about it. We've managed to smash it out, I think.
It's almost Joe Rogan length as well.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But I feel like we still talked
I'm
about.
surprised I haven't been bombarded with text. What the hell are you doing in there? Oh, I have.
Oh, you have. You just ignored them.
Phone's gone mental.
Uh-oh.
Like,
Okay. Well, maybe we should wrap it up.
Jess, my eldest. Can we go to the beach later? It's fucking raining.
Has she looked outside? Has she actually looked outside?
Oh,
Oh
you
my
go.
God.
So
That's
from,
my
from the
phone.
missus. Are you alive?
Are you alive? Just say, yeah, I'm talking about football.
It's only because I've done it before previously where I finished the show, but obviously sometimes I do it later on at night, and I've ended up just getting pissed on my own.
Did you end up sleeping in the shed?
No, I don't sleep. Oh, she caught me once though. It's quite funny. A funny story. I had one of my close friends, Luke Neeson, on, and he's a paramedic. So we had a brilliant conversation. It was literally, we had to do it in 2 parts because we both had to go off and have a piss or whatever. So and it's literally about 3 hours long, the 2 parts. And I went through pretty much 3/4 of a bottle of whiskey and a few buds and things like that. And I was stood outside the shed, couldn't be bothered to go in the house. So I was doing a proper man thing and just taking a piss. And I was swaying around. I didn't realize the missus is up in the window just
watching it.
Just watching. I got upstairs. She went, "Are you all right?" I was like, "Oh yeah, of course, I'm fine." She was like, "You're drunk, aren't you?" I was like, "Probably."
That's amazing.
Yeah, too many times I've been caught in here with. Caught in here with too many whiskeys.
Well, I do. I'm all for the like whiskey or gin fueled podcasting.
Yeah,
definitely. It's I did a bit of a lockdown special, and we were definitely snacking and drinking gin, but it stayed very tame.
Yeah. Me and Little Brown have done it a couple of times where on one of them we did the episode, and before we uploaded it, I believe it's one of the ones that we've stuck in the archive. He was like, "Mate, we were proper smashed." He was like, "We don't even sound coherent when we're talking."
Oh no.
He was like, when we were doing it, it felt like a really good episode, but then he listened to it back because he used to do all the uploading because I didn't have a laptop or anything. So he did all that, and he was like, "Mate, we can't upload that." And I was like, all right. He went, "I sounded like mum when she's had 3 bottles of wine." It's like, yeah, we can't upload that.
I'm starting to think though, I would like to have that as like one of my podcasts, like maybe do like a Twilight special where it's just all about, like drinking first. So you're going into the podcast already like a little limbered up.
Yeah, with a little buzz.
little bit of a buzz, and then like, you know, you can just like then keep it going. But obviously not my sense of humor is very politically incorrect, and
Yeah.
there are times I have to really think about what I say before I say it.
Yeah.
I couldn't do that if I don't.
I've got a buddy of mine, Dan, who is one of those ones that is very politically incorrect. He has no filter. He's not afraid to throw out shock tactics. Put it this way, he will send you things on your phone, and you're like, well, that can't be saved on my phone.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I've said to all my mates that I've served with, I'm like, oh, you're welcome on the show anytime. And Dan will pipe up and say, well, even me, no, you're not invited. You're not allowed.
Yeah, I think
he's a good lad, though. He's funny. Could does crack me up.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard, isn't it? I think I just like that kind of humor. Like, to me, I do find it funny, but at the same time, we just
some
have to
people
be so
don't
careful in this. No, in fact, I think our mutual friend John Beamson is out doing his. He's doing a big challenge, a walking challenge over the next 48 hours, isn't he?
Walk.
Oh yeah, he loves a good walking challenge. The Step King. I'm trying to get him sponsored by Fitbit.
It's not a bad shout.
Trying to get him. So Fitbit, if you're listening, John Beamson, the Step King, just give him a free fucking Fitbit already. And
nobody takes more steps.
Nobody. Like, this dude does nothing but walk. So he's doing this 48-hour challenge where he's walking 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours, which is basically a marathon a day.
Fucking
right?
me.
Right? Well, it's like 24 miles per day. But you have to do it every 4 hours. So he'll get little bits of sleep, but he'll just have to have like little power naps, right?
Yeah, little power nap.
So that's what he's doing. But then he sent me a link this morning before he was going, and he was like, oh, do you remember like such and such a thing? And then so I sent him a gif of like, do you ever watch South Park?
Yeah.
They have the member berries. Have you ever seen them? So I sent him this gif of the member berries, and it's like, yeah, I remember. And then he's like, what are those? Where are they from? And I was like, oh, they're from South Park. So I sent him a link to the actual thing, and he just sent me a message back going, oh my God. He's like, how do they even get away with it? They give 0 fucks. Like, the stuff that they say in that. I genuinely don't know how it's still on the internet.
Yeah, they don't care.
They really don't care. And I remember when South Park came out, I was still at school in California. So when that came out, I was like I was probably only about 11 or 12 when that came out. And I remember watching it and being like, and my mom was like, you can't watch this. It's terrible. And I'm like, it's so funny though.
Yeah, it is though. Yeah. Seeing as we're on the old shouting out certain people, I'd like to give Daniel Gardner a shout out. How he's the RAF regiment officer that has done the ultimate one, which is what he called it, which is basically where he did a tire flip challenge, and I think it was 105 kilo tire flip.
Yeah.
I can't remember the length of time. I think it was 24 hours. Don't hold me to that. And I think he ended up doing over, I think it was about 12 to 15 kilometers. He's broken a world record, or set a world record for that challenge. So he has said that he's going to come on the show soon. So I'll be in contact with him. He's raised an incredible amount of money. Let me grab me phone and I'll get it up. So he sent me a text. When did he text me? Here we go.
That sounds phenomenal.
Where is it? I'll get it on his Instagram. Will probably be the best thing, so I can get it all fucking right. Fucking come on, my internet's turned into yours. Slow ass internet. Here we go.
Sky internet. Don't ever trust it. It's awful.
I'm on BT. Overall, where does it say what he fucking did?
What did he do? That tire flip sounds immense.
There you go. So he finished at 0900. He flipped for 24 hours solid with only a 30-minute break halfway through.
What?
The tire
How
was
did he do that?
105 kilogram tire. He did 11.2 kilometers within those 24 hours. So he was literally flipping that tire for 24 hours. He must have been fucked at the end of it. What does it say? How much he raised? Oh,
It's not even like, not only would you be physically just absolutely drained, but how boring as well. So it's like
yeah, exactly.
flipping
There
a
is
tire, like just repeatedly. Oh, I feel like that could be similar to like Chinese water torture.
yeah, definitely.
They should stick that on SAS Who Dares Wins as a torture
Yeah.
technique when they're trying to break. You have to do a 24-hour tire flip. Oh God, you'd be so bored. I'd be so bored.
Yeah. Well, I've had a
Oh,
few of the contestants on the show from
have you?
SAS Who Did. Yeah, I had Chris Barker and Mark. Oh, I've forgotten his fucking surname. Mark,
Mark
aka Civil War.
Yeah,
He's the he dresses up as Civil War, which is a
yeah. Yeah. He does
cross dress. I don't know the
drag.
correct term.
Is it drag?
Yeah, the
They do
drag act. That's the
yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, he's a very interesting guy to talk to. You might want to send him a message. He'll come on your show.
Really?
He's a very interesting guy. His dad was in the SAS as well. His dad was actually a serving soldier. But yeah, both of those have like spoken to me about the staff, the DS staff. He said most of them are all right. You know, I was like, all right, which ones? Like, and they were like, well, basically Foxy, Ollie, and Billy.
Billy.
Yeah, they're all sound. Jay and Ant very much up their own ass, apparently.
I mean, I've never met any of them, so like obviously I could possibly comment. I know that Jay is from just near where I live originally, and I know he hasn't really been out for that long, and he's got a lot of stuff kind of going on for him. I think he only did the show for that. I think he only did the show for that one season. I don't think he's doing it anymore. But yeah, I don't know. I have a friend who is.
I think with a couple of them, I think the celebrity style lifestyle may have gone to their head a little bit. Maybe one certain person, the main guy, shall we say? But
it's really
on the flip side of that,
he's great entertainment. I think there's like it's so difficult. Like obviously, I'm not ex-military. I know some guys who are in the regiment, and I know that there's some very differing opinions around what goes on with that show and stuff. But at the same, a bit like what you were saying with the trolling, like even guys that you know, where you've had an issue and you've shared it and they have a different opinion and they just slam you for it. What I do know is that military men are extremely opinionated and they're not afraid to, voice their opinions. But I'm very opinionated and I'm not afraid to voice my opinion. So like, I'm not saying that
100%.
I actually don't think it's a bad thing. It's just that like, I'm all for anyone wanting to make a living for themselves and for their
100%.
families. And if they've done something in their lives that makes them, that gives them like an expertise or, that they can then share with the world to a certain extent. I know it's not real life. I know that show is not actually what selection is like. I know
Yeah,
that the way
of
that they
course.
speak to people on that show isn't like what selection is like for special forces, because by the time you get to special forces, you don't need someone's foot up your asshole all day telling you to do this, that, and the other. Like, you've already gotten to a point
Yeah,
where you've taken all that psychological abuse. You actually don't need it once you get to that level. So I
yeah,
know a lot of that is
yeah,
just for
exactly.
show. Like, that's just been what what I have been told about it. But
Yeah,
I know,
and I
I
think,
know, I know guys that know um, Billy and Ollie because they've either served with them,
yeah,
live near them, and are actually friends with them. And that Ollie is exactly like that. Ollie and Billy in particular, is exactly like he is on the
yeah,
show, like
yeah.
just in real
Billy,
life.
Billy lives around the corner from my best mate back home.
Okay.
He lives in, yeah. I actually, last time I was back home in Hereford, we went to a pub called the Litchfield Vault within Hereford. It's a nice sort of little pub. Basically, we were in there having a drink, and I was sat there with me missus, and I was like, "Fucking hell." She was like, "What?" I went, "It's fucking Billy." She's like, "What?" I went, "That's fucking Billy." She was
That's
like,
Billy.
"Billy who?" I went, "From fucking SAS Who Dares Wins, fucking Billy." And then he like looked over, and I was like, "Right, Bill." And he was like, "You all right, mate?" I
I
was
think
like, proper,
parent
I was fanboying out. I was like, "Oh, shall I get a selfie?" I didn't get a selfie, but I was like, "Shall I get a selfie? Shall I? Shall I go and say hello?"
Oh, that
She was
is
like, "Shh,
funny.
just leave him alone. He's having a pint with his mates." I went, "Yeah, good point, actually."
I know, that's the thing though, isn't it? I think, like, I don't know. I mean, it all makes for good entertainment. Look, if you
Yeah,
can get paid for
yeah,
being yourself on
yeah.
TV and
I
like
think,
whatever, I do think Amp plays up to it a little bit. I think what it is that, we all have different versions of ourselves
yeah,
that we show people, right? And I think one of the funny things is like Ant gets to be that full on, like, he gets to be that like full on extreme version of
yeah,
himself, almost like a caricature of himself on TV, and he gets paid for it. And so it's like that makes good
yeah,
entertainment. So fair play to what you were saying is that maybe he's taken some of that away, like, and started
yeah.
doing that in his real life a little bit. And maybe that's where the line
That's
gets
all I've
blurred.
heard. Like, obviously, there's lots of things that Ant does that don't get mentioned. Like, he does a lot for charities as well. I was
Mhm.
talking to Trevor Colt the other day, a recipient of the Military Cross, and he was saying that Ant does a lot, and nobody seems to notice that. They're quick to give him shit for popping up and saying, "Go and hug people," and then obviously his latest one with the Black Lives Matter tweet that was
Kind of
taken
felt
the wrong
bad
way.
for him. Felt bad
But
for him, really.
I think he's come out and said his own opinion, and then a member of his team has gone, "You probably shouldn't have said that." And then he's gone, "Yeah, shit, actually, I better." I think a lot of people would have probably backed him a bit more if he stuck to his guns, because what he said wasn't anything bad against Black Lives Matter. What he was saying was, "You guys are looting and protesting and being dickheads. Stop being dickheads." Basically, and then people take things out of context, I think.
They do, but I think the whole thing is so just like charged at the moment, isn't it? Like,
I think
the
everyone's charged.
you can't say anything right. Like, no matter what you say, it's going to piss someone off. Like, you can be the
Yeah.
most, we all have our own views and stuff, but apparently, although that there's free speech and that's what everyone's being allowed to do, you actually can't say anything nowadays.
No,
So I
no,
don't
no.
really know how it all fucking works.
Unless it fits the
It's their
narrative, don't
narrative.
say it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know.
I've
In fact,
too many times I've been caught doing things like that.
I know. I'm just waiting. The day is going to come on my podcast. I'm going to say something, and it's going to just like
Snowball
it,
out of there.
it's
My
gonna
my
something
brother's forever saying
happen.
the same
Yeah.
thing to me, because I'm very unfiltered in certain things. Like, I'll say things before I really think about it, and which is what's endearing about the show. But
I
he's like,
agree.
"You're gonna get kicked off YouTube, mate." So, I was like, "Whatever."
Yeah, I know it's really difficult. I do have to stop myself sometimes, but I don't want to have to. I don't want to have to censor myself. I'd like to be able to just say what I want, because the
Yeah, exactly.
reality of it is that I love people. I have tolerance for all people and all, all beliefs.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
fine. Like that, we're all on the planet. We're sharing it together.
That's
It doesn't matter what
my
your thoughts
exact
are, what your
views on things.
just because I use the wrong terminology or what, like the terminology changes on a
Yeah.
daily basis. I can't keep up with that shit. Like I have an actual life as well. So like I don't, you know, I find the whole thing a little bit crazy. It's funny because I'm trying to like take a little bit, not a break, but like I do limit the amount that I read and look at on like social media and stuff because
Yeah.
there's just so much bullshit on there at the moment. And I don't really want to read it and I don't want to get involved in it too much. I have my own thoughts. I have,
Yeah.
my friends, my family, and what I'm doing. And that's where I want to keep my focus just at the moment. Um, but like Gez Jones literally has me cracking up on Instagram when I am watching stuff, like some of the stuff that he's saying at the moment, like he's just calling people out all over the place and he has a very different like perspective on stuff. And I don't always agree with everything he says, but I love that he's asking the
Yeah.
questions, just asking difficult questions of people to ask, why is it that you think that way? Like, where is that
Yeah.
coming from? Is that because someone told you to think it, or is that what you genuinely really think? And I love as well that he'll say certain things like from his point of view or say his opinion, but he's always very open to other people's
Yeah. He is.
opinions,
Yeah.
like very like tolerant of all of that. And people think that if like I think we're quite straight talking people. And I think people think that if you say something quite blunt and straight talking, that means that you're like rigid in your thought
Yeah.
process. And it's not the case at all. I can say things, I mean, I say stuff. My mom's like, oh my God, you can't say that. You're so racist. And I'm like, no, I'm not. It's nothing to do with that. Like, that's, and I even get that in my own family
Yeah.
sometimes. But
I had it on a post. I believe it's my cousin's daughter's. She put a post up, and I think it was to do with that thing about when everyone started sharing all the photos of Lee Rigby saying, why is nobody, we never protest this, and then their family said, can you not, that's not what he stood for, blah blah blah. And one of her like side of the family I've never met, by the way, she piped up and went, well, she was saying something that it's not racist at all. It wasn't a racist attack at all. It was a terrorist attack. And I went, well, no, they targeted him because he was a white British soldier. And I put all this big spiel, and then they started arguing back at me how things can look racist and things like that. And I went, well, you can look at my profile picture on my Facebook. You could probably label me as a racist. And she was like, what do you mean? I was like, well, I'm a white British male stood in front of the Union flag, not Union flag, the St. George's Cross. When that can come across as racist because I'm stood in front of the flag that can be offensive to people for some reason.
why? It belongs to a country. Like it's
Yeah,
not
exactly.
like
But that was my thing. I was like, I've got short hair, stood in front of the flag.
you're
That
such a
I'm,
racist.
yeah, such a right wing racist.
I can't. Like it genuinely, it's crazy. I actually have a friend who applied for something recently and was turned away because they were white.
Racist. But that's
And
not racist because it's white.
why do
But that's a whole nother tin of worms.
I know? And like obviously one I don't really want to, cut the lid off, but I just feel like if people want equality, it's got to go all ways.
It's got to go. Yeah, I agree. I
You
agree.
know, otherwise discrimination just swings the opposite way. And then that becomes an issue. It's funny. Like I've had this conversation with someone before, recently, about that idea that the people who are passionate about fighting for awareness and representation and having their voices heard very often end up becoming the things that they're protesting against.
Yeah.
And they take it so far the other way. They take it to such extreme levels that their message stops being heard. because no one hears you when you're screaming and shouting and ranting like a crazy person. Like if you can put your point across in a calm, measured manner, you're far more
Yeah,
likely to be heard and for a negotiation to take place and for people to come together. Like you can't collaborate and change the world if all you're all doing is like dropping bombs and smashing the place up, like because nothing ever gets fixed
exactly.
that way, right? I mean, it just seems like common sense to me. Um,
100%.
but that's just my take on it.
Yeah, um, I totally agree. Like all these protests and what have you, they were fine until you started smashing the fucking place up, and then everyone was like, "Well, no." And then you find that people will start digging their heels in and not listening to the points because we're not going to listen to you because you're trying to smash up my fucking house
Well,
or
yeah,
shop,
exactly that.
whatever.
Exactly that. But then I understand that um, there's a lot of anger and there's a lot of hurt and a lot of emotion. And
Yeah,
something that I just believe in is, there's kind of two main emotions, and one is fear and one is love. And every act that we make um, is driven by one of those two things. It's either, coming from a place of love or it's coming from a place of fear. And when people are afraid, they lash out and they get angry and they make poor choices. So, um, I suppose maybe that's a little bit more of a feminine perspective and a way to look at it for, that's just how I am. But I would always want to approach something from a more loving place as opposed to
yeah,
going in all riled up on fear and anger and adrenaline, trying to tear the place down because don't really feel like it's very productive.
definitely not. Definitely not. Well, dude,
I know. Shit.
2 hours, 50 minutes.
Is that a world record?
I don't know. I can't remember my longest one. I think my longest one was with Mason Jones, and that was like 3 hours and something. But that guy talks for whales. He doesn't. Hey Mason, you don't shut up. Nah, he's Mason's brilliant. He's brilliant, and yeah, a true champion. That guy. Granite
Well,
Granite
I,
Zero Guest of the Year and Cage
really?
Warriors lightweight champion. All in it.
Oh,
All in a
shit.
yeah. He's a good sausage. Very down to earth for an elite athlete.
I love that. Well, I definitely need to get my podcast list bumped
Yeah.
up. I've got a list of it's been a crazy week for it this week with recording and editing, and I had a
Yeah.
little I had a little dip where I recorded this great podcast, but it was long and I did want to cut it down a bit and edit it out, and but I also didn't want to edit it. I didn't want to cut anything from it, and I just ended up procrastinating. I just ended up leaving it. Like I was like,
We'll just
I'm gonna
put that one
pretend
in.
like that's not there. But then I was like, shit, I'm recording like 3 more next week. I've got that. And the last thing I need is to have like 4 episodes sat there waiting to be
Yeah,
edited and have
exactly.
copywritten for them and stuff. And I can totally see why people have actual production teams for
Yeah.
podcasts. Because when
Yeah.
you do it all by
I,
yourself,
I'm quite lucky that I try and stick to one a week just because I end up doing this and talking for 3 hours. If it was my actual job, I would probably do more. But yeah,
well, I mean, that's the dream, right?
yeah, could be. We'll see. One day. But I'm actually getting
All right.
messages now asking if I'm
Same.
alive and
No, no. I've
and
actually got a meeting in about 3 minutes, so I have to fly.
yeah, no problem. But this has been a fucking epic chat. We've gone
It
all round the
has.
houses.
I
All
know.
ra- oh fucking hell. My mic's going all to shit. Yeah, we've gone fucking all everywhere. And luckily we've actually pressed record because that would have been embarrassing.
Oh my God.
Done that before.
Oh,
With
you'll only do that once, though.
yeah, with Alicia Emerson Thomas.
Oh, she's
Luckily,
so lovely.
I was using my phone, so the phone was recording. Luckily, so I managed to get all the audio recorded on the Skype call, so I didn't have the video, unfortunately.
God.
But
That is a
yeah,
shame because she's
but yeah,
smoking hot.
I will
Like
she's
she's
an
so
awesome person
beautiful.
as well.
She is so beautiful inside and out. Like it is a shame you didn't have the video for that, but you know, yeah, she's incredible.
Yeah, definitely. She's very good to chat to as well. So if you ever get a chance to get the wild ones on your show.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, you know, I think there's a lot going on. So we're it's definitely in the pipeline. We have chatted about doing a podcast together. So hopefully that'll get done
Yeah,
sooner rather than
awesome.
later. But we'll see. Yeah, it'd be incredible. I'd love to chat to the girls.
Yeah, happy days. Well, cheers for this. This has been epic.
It's been amazing. We put the world to rights. So fingers crossed for tonight. We'll get the win.
Yeah, we'll get the win tonight. We'll get the win. No problem.
All right. Thanks so much for having me on.
No problem. We'll have to do it again sometime soon.
Definitely. But I think with whiskey next time.
Yeah, definitely. I'm up for a whiskey.
All right.
All right. I'll catch you
Take
soon.
care, Tomo. Bye.
Bye.